Just a little bit.
Looks
it's not
weirdly
super
light
bright.
on my side.
Test. My same thing.
Well, it's different, but now it's worse. I think to my
Now
ear. Okay, now
I've
it's
touched it.
That's
Now it's
good.
okay.
All right.
There you
I
go.
literally touched no settings. I just like unplugged it and replugged.
Yeah, sometimes
All right,
That is
Good
a
job.
setting. The plug in.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for letting me know, though. I wouldn't have known otherwise. I appreciate you. Okay. Yeah. But no. Electrolyte. Just you don't seem to fully understand me. Okay. All right. I don't like spoilers. I don't like spoilers, and so I'm not going to watch the.
Aren't you spoiling the show by playing the game?
No, I'm spoiling the game by watching the show.
But you're also spoiling the show by playing the game.
No.
No, the show
Like
takes
doesn't
one of them
matter.
is going to be spoiled.
Right.
The show is a derivative of the game.
It also
And so
takes
I'm gonna
place
You're
before the
spoiling
game.
it.
Well, no, the show
But
takes
no,
place
no,
before
You're
the
still
game.
spoiling it.
No,
You're still spoiling it.
Wait a second. I can look. There are
Am I
different
wrong?
works. No,
You're wrong. The show
no.
leads into the game. It's not going to spoil anything.
It doesn't matter though. It's still spoiling what's occurring in the show. You're still gonna know what's happening in the show.
It absolutely does matter. Of course, hold on.
Yeah, you should watch the
Left and
show
right
before
can
you
come
finish
together
the
and
game.
agree on
No.
this, Prime.
Yes.
You know we're right.
Me and
You
Lacto
need to finish the show and
Against
then
the
finish
world.
the game.
No, hold on.
I'm only
yeah.
on board just because it'll force you to watch the show. If
Yeah,
the
the
argument
show
goes
has.
through,
If you
that
watch
means
the,
there's
if you
no
finish the
reason
game
for you to not
before you
watch
finish
the
the show,
It's a
So I'm
great
on board.
show.
No.
the show needs to
Okay.
finish before the
Well,
game. It's gonna spoil it.
No, absolutely.
It doesn't matter. You're still spoiling. That's fine for you to have that opinion.
Guys, no.
It's
hold on.
fine
Wait
for
a
you to
minute.
want to do
Wait
the
a minute,
game
hold on,
before the
on.
show, but you are
Okay,
spoiling the show.
It's very well known, right? It's no secret that Prime reads manga and watches anime, right? Anime almost always is a derivative, a secondary property of manga, right?
Mhm.
But I can read the manga and then enjoy the story, in
Even
a
though
secondary format.
you're spoiling the anime when you watch the manga.
Okay, all right.
It's I swear, like
All
It
right,
works
all
both
right.
ways. Ergo, you
Okay.
have to watch the show, no matter what.
Okay.
See, I didn't want to spoil the show, so I went ahead and watched that first, and then maybe I'll spoil the game, but that's more interactive. It's less, based on
Also your own story.
drama. And...
Well, your own story ends the game differently, but no matter how you end the game, you win the show for yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just whenever I'm gonna go back and I beat that dungeon. Okay, it's gonna happen one of these days. Yeah, let's do the stream together thing.
I'm still not over this spoiling thing because, like, when Dobby died in book 7.
Whoa.
Exactly. Spoilers. You can't share that shit when the book came out, okay?
Mhm.
But then you also couldn't share it when the movie came out, even though that information came out like 5-10 years prior.
Oh yeah, that
Because
makes
it's
sense.
a spoiler, even though that information's still out there. And if someone was spoiled that information that Dobby was dying, and I, who had read the book, we go up to the movie theater and we are equally unsurprised when we watch the movie because it has been spoiled for both of us. Because I read the book and because he got that information. Whatever.
Hold on. You can wait. It's right. Hold on. Like when I read an original work, right, and then it gets a derivative, it gets a secondary property, right? That secondary property transforms, right? Now what it is an enhancement of the original property.
And when
right?
I spoiled it in my little YouTube video, I also enhance it through the product of a YouTube video.
It could also be worse.
No,
right?
hold on. If I
Right.
didn't see the original, that means I got nothing, right? It's an original property, so like the Harry Potter thing, right? So I did have read the books, and then I don't know if I ever finished the movies, but like in any case, no, I definitely didn't finish the movies. In any case, right? Like if I had gotten that piece of information, right?
Okay.
In terms of the Dobby thing.
Here's my fucking question, because it seems like your issue is that you're okay. What if I
I don't
at
think
the
you understand
schoolyard?
my issue.
I do think I understand your issue. If I'm on the schoolyard and I read Harry Potter book 7 and I do an immaculate fucking like play about what I read for all of the people at the schoolyard, am I spoiling it for them or am I transitioning it into a new media? Like I'm arguing it's both, obviously, right? Like it's still obviously a spoiler. I'm still informing them what happened in the book without them enjoying the original. But it's like I'm also making it my own little story and the way that I share with my classmates.
Know why. I don't understand why you think this. I don't know what like the conflict is here that you think I would have trouble dealing with this question.
Well, wait. What is the answer to your question? Is that a spoiler?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so then at what point does my schoolyard tale...
Hold on a second. Right? It's a spoiler if you had intended to read the books, right? If the point was like I wanted to read the books, read it in its full form, right? Whatever you're gonna produce, child, within the schoolyard, right, will be a lesser product than the books, right? So if I wanted to experience it through the books, right, and you spoil an important part of the book, then yes, you've done me a disservice.
But can't I say the same thing about the movie, where if you're watching the movie, it's spoiling it for the book?
Yeah, you can, but that's if, hon. It depends on the audience member, right? Like, wait, what do they want to do? If you like, hold on a second. There are plenty of movies, right, that are based on books that I have no intention of reading, right, at all.
Okay.
Right? There are anime, right, that are based on manga that I don't feel like reading. I'm like, I'll just wait for the anime and I'll just watch that, right?
Okay. Indeed, totally.
It's technically a spoiler for the manga, but I'm not going to even
totally
engage with that property.
So then, what if someone's so excited for the new Harry Potter movie to come out? This is in like fucking 2010 or whenever the Harry Potter movie came out. That number 7 comes out, and then someone gives them the book 7, and they're like, "Look, I know you're about to read the movie," and they're like, "No, I can't. That's going to spoil it. I was going to enjoy it in the movies." Because isn't it a spoiler, the book?
Yeah, the book would be a spoiler for the movie. Yeah,
awesome. I fully converted him to my side with that. You said the opposite like 15 minutes ago.
No, hon. My side, no.
I beat him with facts and logic. Are you proud of me?
I'm completely consistent.
I love it
because once again, I'm saying the games are the primary work, and that's something I want to experience. It's the fullest version.
Totally, but as long as
you hold on, but here's the problem with that. Problem with this one. This is the movie. The TV show is made by the games, though. Like the game makers made this, and the problem I have with what you're saying. Hold on. Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem with what you're saying. All right, specifically with this specific franchise, right? This game, right? It's good, and it's all. It's hold on, just hear me out. It's all about choose your own adventure, etc., etc. I played the Cyberpunk. It's good. I played through it, and I wish I had watched the show first, because when you watch the show first, the show not only gives you the background depth to the other stuff, it also enhances one of the major plot points towards the end of the game. And whenever you end the game, you're like, oh shit! If I had not watched the movie or the TV show, all of this doesn't even matter to me. I don't give a shit about the guy that you kill, one of the big guys you fight at the end. I'm like, he's just a big bad, whatever. But after you watch the show, whatever. Now, since I did it backwards, like what you're prescribing, it took away from the show, and I wish I hadn't watched the show at all. So you're just going to ruin the show for yourself.
Backwards.
You had the game spoiled.
The game basically at the end, like I didn't experience the show. Because
even though the game came out first.
Yeah, because the game came out first. I played the game first and played it all the way through, and then watched the show. And the show is ruined. There's no point. There's no emotional impact to the show because I know the big twist at the end. Like I know how it plays out after that. But if you watch the show first, the twist at the end, that's a big deal. But then you're gonna play the game first, and that twist's not gonna matter. You're like, the show was mids. But if you watch the show first, you're like, wow, this is really good.
Okay, we're all against Prime here, right?
It's like it's like saying watch Return of the Jedi before watching Empire Strikes Back. That's what Prime's saying. Prime is saying watch Return of the Jedi first.
As usual.
Do you watch the prequels before you watch? Wait, do you watch the prequels to Star Wars?
Wait, what show are you talking about?
Trilogy?
The Last of Us.
I thought the show was pretty good.
I do like the There's I forgot what the order. But you go, wait, you're talking prequels and sequels Star Wars, right?
Yeah, I was just making a joke.
You go 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6.
I've done that. There's a lot of different ways to watch it.
Pretty neat.
I think that the way if I'm watching it for the first time with like friends, I make them watch the original trilogy first, and then we go to the
I do understand that, but I also need you guys to understand how fucking great it is for someone to have watched Rogue One first and then that is their intro into episode 4. It's
cool.
Rogue
One can go before Rogue One.
There we go.
That's a fine one.
That sounds pretty cool. Yeah, Doobie. So we were talking about The Last of Us, and I don't want to bring this up with you because you made fun of me on this before. But like I'm saying, I'm not going to watch the show until I finish the game. You know why I finished the game. But eventually I will. I'm going to beat the game at some point in time, and then I'll watch the show.
Yeah. By the way, Rogue One first is the right take. Wanted to say that. Yeah, he was right about that one.
Rogue One is fantastic.
It definitely makes 4 more impactful.
Well, no, actually, even better. No, you should watch Andor.
Fucking
Rogue
hate.
One.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Andor. Rogue
Well,
One.
sure. If you've got fucking if someone's new to
16
Star
hours.
Wars and they're like, I have
That's what I did
4 days to do this.
Watch Andor all the way through, then watch Rogue One, and she loved it.
Yeah, Andor's great.
Yeah,
so the best media on television.
But you have to be realistic about your viewing experience. If you're introducing someone to Star Wars, you can't really, it's a lot to ask for.
Yeah, I mean, if we really wanted to say the right way, it's all the Clone Wars, then Rumble, then
There we go.
There's a lot of movies, a lot of shit to catch up with. It's a lot. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about like the Marvel stuff.
No, you could just skip all of it.
No, my wife hasn't seen like any of the any Marvel. Like she's seen like a movie here and there, but she really had like no idea of the timeline. So I tried to get her to sit down and like watch all of it from start to finish, and then watch like the old like Sam Raimi Spider-Man and shit. So she'd get all the references. She just couldn't do it. We never finished it. Just too much shit going on. Too much, to keep up with. Too many characters. Just too much.
Disney did something pretty
cool. The last
cool.
battle. That's like of
the last
when
battle.
the Marvel
Disney
stuff really started getting going. Like Iron Man was really good though. That first movie was really good.
Well,
and
they've
then
done some
name
cool...
one other movie that was good in Marvel. Maybe you could come with
Winter
a couple.
Soldier was really good.
They started hiring actual
good.
doctor historians to write the like in-universe histories. Like right now, I just got this book Rain, right? And it's like an in-universe doctor, and he's like writing his historical thesis on like why the Imperial Empire fell, and I think they're about to put one out for like the Slovakian Accords or whatever for Marvel. And it's kind of cool that they're like hiring actual historians to write like faux pas in-universe histories and stuff. I think it's kind of a cool concept.
Okay. All right. Well, as long as we agree that I was right. But
no one agrees that you're right.
Anyway, so quite a few people, well, 3 people, have said that they are going to be late, like to getting here, right? Let me take a quick look.
How many people are coming?
9. Well, you see it in the you see it in the group DM. That's how many.
We're all white
but,
too, Prime. So your typical.
Am I stupid? Wait, you said people are going to
be used here.
Maybe whatever. It doesn't matter. Just continue.
Okay. Sorry. I mean, well, who knows? Possibly they also went shopping and bought FUBU over the weekend, and now they can't help themselves. Ali,
they bought Labubu.
He's brown enough, right? And like he's been late for he's characteristically late, so I don't know about him. And then the other 2. Eucharist, he's got kids, and Socrates, he's got well, I don't know what's going on, but like he said, he won't be home on time, so it is what it is. Okay, so we can jump in immediately unless someone has something they want to address. In case you don't know, Hunter, oftentimes what we do here is we start with something random. Someone's got a bone to pick with someone else, or just a topic they want to bring up.
I've been on this show before, right, Prime?
Yeah, but well, one, I don't remember when.
That's what the issue is. You forgot who you are.
Whatever.
That's true. No, I know that. Okay, no, there's multiple things happening here. One, true, I did completely forget about him. But he reminded me previously that he was on, but I don't know when he was on, right? And we haven't always been doing these.
I've been on it like 3 or 4 times.
I got a bone to pick.
I believe the last time he was on,
this is crazy.
FQ was here. He was on during the whole underscore fiasco.
AdmiralGibbs, so you guys still support
I'm
Trump, given that he's like a rapist, pedophile, murderer?
Trump. Listen, I haven't followed any of the Trump Epstein stuff, but you know what? If he's a wood chipper,
why haven't you been? Like, come on, that's like
I'll tell you
the
why.
most interesting thing happening right now.
No,
actually.
I'll tell you why, Doobie. Let me tell you why. Right? I think you might not have been here for when we talked about this last time, and I got quizzed. I didn't. The Epstein list shit. That was about like point number 42 for what I voted for. Like, right? I think all these people are monsters.
You want to know if your president is like covering for pedophiles? Like, I don't.
No, I don't. If he is sitting in the jail with the wood chipper and all, right? That's fine. I'll tell you what I want to talk about. Why are all the Dems running from this Minnesota scandal that's encompassing the nation? I haven't been able to find one Dem that wants to talk about this shit. They're all running like they're little scared baby back bitches, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
They're like afraid of. Like, it's just
it's widespread
scamming happening.
Honestly, it is the biggest scam.
When there's the PPE loans, right, with COVID, like there's a fuck ton of like scams, fraud thing about. Like, people,
dude, hold on.
People defraud the government sometimes.
Gibbs,
and then they directly fund the party though.
Hold on, Gibbs. Hold on. It's fucking crazy that in your media landscape, you genuinely think that this Tim Walz shit is as big as the Epstein list. Like, that goes to show how much your media environment is trying to cover for what the fuck your president has done. We're like, Tim Walz has done something in Minnesota, guys. Please, I promise.
Hold on, that's not what I'm saying.
So, hold on. To be fair to Gibbs,
my feed's full of the
Epstein Republicans. It's not, to be fair. He said it's not. It's his media's full of the Republicans, but I think that it's not just about the Republicans, right? It's like. It's about the entire political class, I think, right? The entire elite, quote unquote, class.
What the fuck are we talking about?
The Epstein list, right? So, like
it's obviously the biggest it's way more indicting to fucking Donald Trump than anyone else.
No, I don't think so. Currently, yeah. Hold on. Currently, yes, but Biden also sat on this. Right?
Wait, no. Wait, what the fuck? Ghislaine Maxwell was the judge ordered that all this court documents had to be sealed. The fuck are you talking about?
No, well, hold
until
on.
2020.
Hold on.
When Trump was president.
If the Republicans and Democrats right now,
or until 2024,
could push to have it have them unsealed and push to release this. Why couldn't the Democrats? Why couldn't Biden?
Well, yeah,
no. It got unsealed naturally after Ghislaine got sentenced.
Okay, but
Kamala said,
correct me if I'm wrong, but Congress and the president have the ability to force the unsealing of documents, don't they?
If it's wait, hold on. The judge ordered it sealed, and Democrats were looking at it and going, okay, well, it's going to become unsealed in a few years anyway. Why would we push? I don't think that's such a fucking big
why
scandal.
Wouldn't you push? Wait, hold on. Why wouldn't you push? Given that, hold on. If
I'm not
possibly. Wait, hold on. If
I don't know what the fuck. They don't know what the fuck's in there.
Let Doobie make
what's in there is possibly evidence, right? That massive, not just like billionaires and massively influential people, but current sitting Congress people and senators were involved in some like fucking sex trafficking ring.
But that it can also influence. It could also influence the sentencing of one of the biggest sex traffickers on the planet. That's why they sealed it, is because of
Wasn't she
Maxwell's
sentenced in
sentencing.
2022?
No. But it was the appeal ended in 2024, and that's when the judge released the.
It was because
how would
they were releasing shit in
Are you
January.
implying that she would?
Dude, I'm not. Hold on.
Are you implying that she would have been given a lighter sentence if it was unsealed? Like, I think.
Hold on. I don't know
that. Actually,
maybe Lactoid can inform us. I don't know why usually the court records are sealed until the appeals are over, but that's pretty par for the course.
So
I would.
Just quickly, Hunter, I think you're also a bit gainy. Maybe turn down your gain a little bit. I think it's a little.
So to Doobie and to Hunter, actually, like, they kind of touched on something. One, I think that you may. Better? Yeah, that's a lot better. You might. Yeah. I don't want to be misconstrued. My feed is full of the Epstein stuff. Like, I live in Texas. These fuckers have been on the conspiracy train about all these people for fucking 10 years now, right? Like, all I see is the Epstein shit, right? But I think that actually somebody just said the class thing. I think is actually very interesting here. And to me, when I look at this fraud thing, right, I see that affecting the day-to-day class quite a bit more. And I see that as a much bigger on the day-to-day issue. That's like a real time having effect. If we get rid of, like, I don't know, let's say all of them are guilty. We get rid of every single one of them. All that's about to happen is they're about to put the same people back in charge, and it's going to be just more pedos. Maybe I'm like dead to it on the inside, or I just think all these guys are just evil at the top now. But it's like I don't know. I feel like the class is going to be affected a lot more by the billions and billions of tax dollars being funneled
I
to the Dems and being defrauded than if we take out 40 politicians. Like,
well, no, but those 40 politicians are the ones who put those programs in place that get defrauded, right? And then refuse to turn the other way, right? If their political interests are the ones defrauding them. So I feel like these are all kind of connected. And I agree, like to the people in Minnesota, this like hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud is definitely going to be a bigger issue, right? But to the country, I think if you have a political class or an elite class, right, of billionaires and hundred millionaires that are like just fucking embedded in this fucking sex trafficking thing, and there's all this shit happening in the background to cover it up and to make sure that the names of the co-conspirators don't get out, to make sure that it's what he did is downplayed and what Ghislaine Maxwell did is downplayed. I think that's a pretty big fucking deal, right? I think what that says is there's like massive, deep corruption happening.
Okay, so just so we're clear on the timelines, it looks like the unsealing was ordered in December of 2023, which means that, I mean, to Gibbs' argument, the Biden administration did have a full year.
Okay. I'd have to look into that to see if Dems...
Well, Kamala already gave a speech on like why she didn't release it, and like this is not me just bashing the Dems. I want all of y'all to go watch the 4 minutes where Kamala defends why they didn't release it, and you tell me what you think of that shit. And it's a bad look, like all around. And it's a bad look for all these presidents, really. Like this is why it's
mostly a bad look on Trump, though.
Well, but only you say that
it's really bad look on Trump.
We've had
we've
had this thing for like 20 years, right? Like I remember people talking about this like since I was in college, like in the early 2000s, and I was talking to someone like I think it was Sadie, and she was bringing up how they brought it up in like the 90s. Like the
Epstein list they were talking about in the 90s.
They were talking about Epstein in the 90s. Like I think that like my issue is like at this point it's going to be so tainted that like they're all evil. Just get rid of them all. I want to talk about. I just like it doesn't affect you day to day, other than what Doobie said.
So
where they put him in charge.
I can sympathize with you there, right? That they're all evil, right? So that's why I'm certainly not going to defend the Democrats. I think the Democrats, I think there's a lot of blame to go around, right? So I agree with you on the basic point. I just think it's kind of convenient, right? That on this issue that like really implicates Trump, right? You're like, oh, well, just throw them all out, right? There's a general sense of blame to happen, right? There's no point focusing on one or the other. But that's true. But we could also focus on Trump. Right? You can talk individually about the actors involved, right? So fuck Biden, fuck Kamala Harris, right? Fuck Bill Clinton for being like literally in them and on the island, right? Fuck them all, right? But also we can say fuck Trump, right? You can say fuck Trump, right?
I mean, sure, if there's like definitive evidence that he's diddling kids,
so you can say it, right?
If someone shows
Trump
me
the most, actually.
I mean, if you show me like evidence that he like specifically is diddling kids, then yeah, I'll say fuck Trump, sure. But like all I've seen is like
it's not even just that though, Gibbs. It's not even, so he's either doing it himself or he's covering for people who did it because they're his friends, right? Or it's gonna be like embarrassing to him in some way. Like so, maybe we're like you forgot, but when this really started like getting like coverage, right? He said that there was nothing there. Right? They looked into it, no co-conspirators, nothing there. Then he called it like a Democrat hoax. He said that it was,
and there were no files. They didn't exist.
Yeah, there were no files actually. There might be something,
even though they're finding millions by the day.
Obama's in there way more than I am, right? But like, come on, like it's just bullshit. Like obviously.
I mean, but these are all powerful people that hang out together. I don't know. Like
they're forced to release some of it. And he's fucking everywhere, right? So like, I don't.
Yeah, but you say that, right? And once again, what have I said? I've said he was a Democrat from New York the whole time. He's like a populist Democrat from New York. So like, once again, like if the argument is, oh, Gibbs, you're not defending him because he's Republican. I barely think Trump is Republican at all. That's why he's mad. I'm not a diehard Trumper. I just haven't.
No, it's not because Republican. Because you just love Trump, right?
I don't just love Trump. I'm not even the MAGA. I'm not even a MAGA.
I'll give the opportunity once again, right? Like now.
Okay, and show me evidence that he was diddling kids.
Not diddling
kids. Hold on. What that matters?
But
I don't. Hold on.
No, I don't. Hun. But hun, is there? I just said. Fuck Kamala Harris, right?
Sure.
Is there any indication that Kamala Harris diddled kids? Right? Did that come into my calculation at all?
I have no idea.
Okay, great, right? Yeah, so Harris wasn't involved in it. Like, fuck also Hillary Clinton. Fuck the entire Democratic establishment.
And we don't have evidence that he was diddling kids, but we do.
Stop.
Sorry.
Like, fuck the entire Democratic establishment. I'm willing to say that because a lot of them, right, yes, they didn't push to release the files when they had the chance to.
So
right?
wait,
and so
you want me to say fuck Trump because you're scumbags?
So I'm not talking about individuals who actually abuse kids, right? I'm talking about an establishment who protected a predator. That's what I'm talking about. And that includes Trump. And so now I'll give you the opportunity. Once again, will you condemn Trump right now for protecting a predator?
Yeah, snitches get stitches. But I mean, like, listen, I could call. Because right now, I'm not gonna rat. Listen, nobody likes a rat. I'm just saying. Do you like a rat?
Yeah, you would say, hey, protect pedophiles,
I love rats.
right? You should protect pedophiles. That's Gibbs. I want to make sure, right?
My argument is
reporting.
No, my argument is this: one, you haven't proved. One, I haven't seen that he diddled kids. Nobody showed me that. Two, the only thing I mean, I don't want to see it. I mean, I just want to see evidence that they guys like. All right, you give me an FBI report saying he diddled kids. I'll be like, all right, cool. Let's fucking throw him in there. Like, if they can read something and they can describe the evidence that shows.
What evidence did you see of anyone else diddling kids?
Hold on. I once again, I guess you missed the first part. Because I haven't even said anything about anybody diddling kids. I've said, listen. I don't care about this issue. Like, it's not high on my voting list. But when you're gonna sit here and go, oh, well, he's friends with so and so, he's a scumbag. I mean, like, I literally grew up with like 15 guys that are in the cartel now. Like,
yeah, I'm friends with Gibbs. It's like,
yeah, I mean, exactly. If you gotta be friends, if like I'm friends with scumbags, I'm not gonna just bash someone because they're also a scumbag. Like, I'm friends with a scumbag, but I will bash them if they're fucking diddler.
Guys, hold on. Epstein. If you were friends with Epstein, you would say, hey, I'm going to protect this individual. Snitches get stitches, right? And so I have an indication, I thought.
No, I'm just not going to associate with him no more. It's like once you have a photo with him, what are you supposed to do?
If you thought, I got to make this explicitly clear for the audience, for everyone here, right? Mm-hmm. If you thought that Epstein or anyone else, right? Fuck, anyone else... I won't even put anyone on the panel, but I'm saying any of your friends, anyone in your social circle, okay, right? Anyone in your social circle was a actual factual pedophile, you'd say your response is not to inform the authorities, not to do anything, not to let people know who can intervene, right? You would say, oh, I would just walk away.
Well,
and good luck to the kids.
Get stitches, Prime.
Gibbs, is that your position?
My position is one.
Courage to say anything.
Snitches get stitches, first of all, and
you would not snitch on your friend, the pedophile. Say that.
Listen. I don't have any friends that are pedophiles. So I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't associate. First of all, if you found
for once in your life,
hold on, I've got that. But here's the thing. I think this is what's crazy is y'all sitting throwing all these accusations.
This is what's crazy. No,
he's taking a pretty wild position. I mean, yeah, accuse him of not having a backbone.
Yeah, it's very clear.
He's kind of taking a position.
My position is it's none of my goddamn business. If he's not diddling my kids, and I don't know he's diddling other people, how do we know? We don't know.
None of my business.
Lactoid, how you doing, buddy?
Listen, maybe more y'all should be doing none of my business. That's y'all's biggest problem.
Gibbs, how much of you on about the trans people grooming kids and shit? Like you do care about that.
Hold on. I don't give a shit about that.
You have talked about that.
Well, what I've talked about specifically when it comes to trans issue is sports mainly. I don't give a shit what they do.
Why the fuck do you care?
Gibbs is afraid
You're not
of
playing
Muslims.
those sports.
You got to remember that.
Your kids are playing those sports.
No, we got to talk about it.
Oh God.
But no, I mean, no, you're sitting here trying to pin this on me.
There were no Muslims on Epstein's list, just saying.
Well, what's the thing about parallel lines running together? Muhammad, Diddy, Epstein. Of course, they won't be on each other's list. They got their own parties.
You got to go 1,500 years back for us. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
I mean,
I'm gonna back up my head. I'm going to back up part of what Gibbs is.
Well, hold on. If y'all get a photo right now,
not
and
y'all
found out I donated millions of dollars to, I don't know.
Which
and it's real packed.
Run cover, bro. Run cover. Let's see you.
You have a back as well for once?
No, I think Trump is wrong for what he's been doing about the Epstein files, and I think I've been highly critical of him.
Do you condemn?
For a while now? Yeah,
do you condemn
everything about this?
No, do you?
Well, hold on. Let's say tomorrow
about the Epstein files. Yes.
What if tomorrow? What if there was tomorrow? There was millions of dollars given out to Israel, and y'all found out Gibbs was the one behind it all, right? And I was funding Israeli terrorism in Gaza or something, right? And y'all found out, and then y'all didn't know about none of this, but y'all have all been doing this panel with me for years now, right? And now guess what? All of y'all are on the Gibbs list for Israeli terrorism. Are y'all going to sit here and be like, oh, well, this isn't embarrassing for us at all. Like, you're going to be doing the same thing as Trump and them. Y'all going to be like,
cagey we were being on releasing the information, right? That's the criticism, really.
Y'all would be.
The criticism is not about like, oh, he didn't.
Y'all be scrubbing.
The people hung out with Epstein for a while. Hanged out. That's a horrible double entendre.
Nice.
It's not like It's not like the people who hung out with Epstein were necessarily saying they're terrible like people. The criticism is, hey man, why are you saying it's a hoax and saying there's nothing left, and then like 2 months later there's more documents being released?
Also,
That's
why are you making these weird comments about Ghislaine? Like if you were doing that, Gibbs, I'd say that guy's a fucking psycho, and I kind of always thought so.
Yeah, there's some weird.
But like the fact that Biden was like, "Hey, I wish her well. I might look into a pardon." You know, like
Biden,
Trump.
Trump.
No, I think if Biden,
you said Biden.
You actually said Biden.
I meant Trump.
But here's where I want to back up just a little bit here.
Yeah, true.
We've been, which is fair. I think it's fair to criticize Trump for this, and we definitely did. But especially when it was supposed with the deadline.
Not Gibbs.
Okay, well, we
criticize
generous. Be generous with me, okay? We criticized when there was supposed to be all the documents supposed to be released by Friday, and then they weren't.
Did
you? Yes.
No. I just want my business. I don't give a shit.
What is criticizing? Saying like, "Hey, you should." I don't like that you did this.
He sent out a tweet.
And I've been arguing with people. I have been called a traitor by half the conservatives in politics at this point. Anyway,
I believe you, Latch. I believe you.
I know, but I do think that this Somali fraud shit that's going on in Minnesota is a big story. And I have noticed that it reminds me of that scene from Mad Men, right, where it's like, if you don't like what's being talked about, change the conversation. Mm-hmm. Like, is this what's going to happen whenever shit like happens? Like, record-breaking fraud is happening in Minnesota.
Sorry.
Well, do we really have the time to talk about that when there's Epstein?
No. I think you're going the opposite direction.
It reminds me like
that is the story they're trying to focus on to avoid the Epstein shit.
No, it's wrong.
No, but we've been talking about the Epstein shit for like half a year now.
And nothing changes.
More than half a year.
And the fraud thing we find out is in multiple states now. It's not just Minnesota anymore. Now it's Washington and Ohio and Texas.
Hold on. I have no problem talking about fraud whatsoever, right? No matter who's named the fraud.
Real quick.
That's never an issue for me, right? Though I can see how people, will do a bit like.
You told me the fraud didn't exist 3 weeks ago, Brian.
And that's fair. So
I asked you to do a fraud panel 3 weeks ago. You told me it didn't exist at all.
We're gonna put a pin in that.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back to whatever it is you're talking about. Okay, no problem. I'll do that. But before we do that, okay, the thing I gotta address is Donald Trump and the thing that you've been trying to avoid. So Donald Trump, and this is also one electoid, right? Or attack towards electoid, and to Scott, though he's not here to defend himself. Hey, like I remember on this panel, I brought up Trump's relationship with Epstein, right? I talked about like how this guy was buddy with them, how like we constantly. This is like a year, maybe 2 years ago, we had this conversation, right? How he was so buddy with Epstein, how we have so much video of him, right? How his friendship goes back decades, and all of a sudden he didn't know, right? But then you guys corrected me, specifically Lactoid. And Scott talking about, well, you see, Trump, he tossed him out of his club, right?
He did.
There's this whole story about how Trump was such a good guy, and he saw through him like years beforehand.
Yeah, you know why he threw him out?
That you were pushing
competition
was a lie.
Yeah, it was competition.
Right?
He poached his client.
Yeah, right. And so Lactoid, and Scott's not here to defend himself, but Lactoid, I want to give you the opportunity to retract that. Right, and I'm not saying that like you were trying to be like deceitful. I think you were going off the best information you had, right? But you can admit that Trump lied about that. He did say those stories, but he lied about them, and the friendship of Epstein continued for years afterwards. You can say that, right? You can retract that.
Hold on, I have no problem admitting that Trump has lied about a shit ton of stuff regarding Epstein. The specific claim that he was still friends with him after that incident, I don't know. I could just be
Hold
like
on.
I have
Yeah, this
You know-
is
you know why you don't
this is
know
that might be
performative
wrong as
ignorance, bro. This is
No,
hold on.
performative ignorance.
Bro,
No, it's
I
not.
just-
No, I don't think he's lying. So, but, Lactor, here's the thing.
I
Go
don't
ahead,
think he's
Dewey.
lying, but I
Hold
think
on,
it's
let
like,
the-
I don't know.
Wait, no. Is that even correct? Was he friends with
Well,
Epstein
yeah, he
after that
was.
incident? Because as far
Yes,
as
he was.
I was aware, there was a pretty big fallout, and
yeah, that's
like
what I
he was
understood
still
too.
cordial with him, and like still like basically stood by him, but like they didn't hang out really at all. There was a big falling
Yeah,
out.
that was my
Let-
understanding too. So I don't
let
like.
Let Dewey tell the story. Go ahead.
Like, am I wrong?
so
anyone
my-
have
no,
evidence
no,
of
no,
the-
Hunter,
the
one
twins?
second.
I said let Dewey tell the story.
Sorry, go ahead.
So just really
Dewey.
quickly, so Lactor, I think you just demonstrated something. So I think the reason you don't know is probably because you've been distracted by the Minnesota shit, and that's kind
No,
of
it's
an
the
open
same
shut
reason
thing.
Staxium doesn't
No, listen,
know.
listen,
Yeah.
listen.
Come on.
Hold on. Well, maybe he's been distracted too. Like I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I've been distracted by the Minnesota
listen,
thing.
Listen for a second. Listen for a second. So I think there's like the Minnesota thing is easy, right? If there's fraud, yeah, prosecute. Okay, move on. Like what's the? There's nothing really there, I think. However, the Epstein stuff, right? I think you said we were talking about this for like a year. It's true, talking about this for a year, but now the files are actually starting to come out, and we're seeing that the government story is falling apart every day. Every time they release something, it contradicts some shit they said in the past. And with Trump specifically, my understanding is that there are like multiple emails that talk about him hanging out with Epstein, going to parties with Epstein, at Epstein's fucking house for Thanksgiving. So like, they were 100%
after the
still
falling
friends.
out.
After, yes, years after.
Wow.
And
So,
wait.
total bullshit.
To be clear, there are multiple. Trump has told multiple stories about how his friendship ended with Epstein, right? And so, like the one that Lactoid and Scott were defending. This was again. I'm not trying to call you a liar, like Lactoid. That's not the goal here, right? But like the thing that you were defending at the time was this. You were putting forth this story where it was at his club, right? And Epstein was being weird with one of the younger.
Story I was told.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the club members, their daughter, right? And then he tossed them out. That was a fabrication.
Correct.
There was something to that story. It wasn't like out of nowhere. My understanding. This is my understanding of it. That it wasn't out of nowhere, but this relationship continued on after that, right? And to the best of my knowledge,
I understand what you guys are saying.
Don't tell me to hold on. 1 second, please. To my understanding, right? That this relationship actually started. Well, there's two things that were a problem. One, he was poaching girls from his property, from Mar-a-Lago, right? Massage girls, right? And two, there was a real estate deal that fell apart. They were like competing over a real estate deal, and then that like blew the relationship. But this was years afterwards. That other story was a lie.
No, but it happened around the same time frame. So that what I'm saying is they did have a falling out around 2004, and it seems like they didn't really hang out. But that was largely because of a competitive nature, and he did lie about that. Like you guys, I don't understand where we're getting our wires crossed.
Because
can anyone wait? Hold on, no. I want to say this. Can anyone show me Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump hanging out post 2004? I'm not defending the guy. I think he's a pedophile, but like I do think just to the point. I do think that there was a genuine falling out and they didn't hang out afterward.
I didn't. Sorry, go ahead.
And so after 2004, I want to know what year.
Here's my thing. You know what? Let me answer Prime's question right here. It says, "Are Republicans ignoring Epstein?" It's not what Doobie said. This Republican is. I don't give a shit. Wasn't an issue I voted on. Fuck it. That's always been my stance. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I never gave a shit. I haven't given a shit. When I voted, it was like, listen, I got to be honest. It was on the list.
That's most of MAGA, to be fair.
No, listen. On the list of the issues that I voted on, it was maybe like 42 out of 50. If I had a 50-thing list, maybe it was 50 out of 50. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, but maybe... once you're aware that your president is a
don't
pedophile,
care. Listen, they're all pedophiles.
I'll give Dwayne to see the footage.
Listen, at this point, they're all pedos. I'm not surprised anymore. You can tell me they're all fraud people. It probably wouldn't surprise me anymore either. At this point, nothing surprises me. But you know what is surprising? That the way the Dems are sitting here trying to shift the thing to talk about this, anything but fraud. And Doobie, I gotta say, I think the Epstein thing is the distraction. We've had this Epstein thing. We're talking on going on 10 years now.
Somali fraud.
We're literally not. It's not just Somalian fraud now. Now we're finding out over 50 of these daycares have given the money back to the Democratic Party through ActBlue. This is fucking money laundering to the Democratic Party on an unprecedented level. And then we were told, illegal immigrants weren't.
Brother, Trump has
hold
a
on,
Bitcoin.
Hold on, we were giving. I don't give a shit about the Bitcoin. How many people are affected by that? Not that many people.
Sorry, what?
Hold on.
Wait,
You
hold
know how
on,
many
hold
people are
on,
affected
hold on.
by-
Gibbs, you
hold
can't
on.
move away from that.
Oh no, we
You
are.
can't talk about Trump coin and the fact that
No,
the Trump administration is like defrauded the current government.
Once again, we're doing a whataboutism. We could talk about.
I'm talking about the President of the United States.
Hold on.
I'm talking about the President of the United States, and you brought it up.
No, this is the thing. I keep bringing this up, and every time I try to bring
you fucking brought it up.
Prime literally 2 weeks ago, literally 2-3 weeks ago, Prime told me there was no fraud, and on here, I think it was on here, said that it was a racist ploy against Somalis. And now we're finding out not only did illegal immigrants get health care, but they've also gotten driver's license. Nevada just put out a report saying they had 49,000 people in the voting records from that were illegal, potentially here. We're sitting here going through all this. We're seeing this widespread fraud embraced by the Dems at every level. And then when we bring it up, and hold on, every time I try to bring it up and talk about it at all on any of these panels, we do exactly what you're doing, Saxon, to go, but what about Trump coin? What about that?
No, that was me.
We can't talk about any fraud. It was you, Ollie. Damn you, Ollie. It was you.
Hold on. Gibbs, here's all I'm saying. I am not attacking. I didn't try to pin away the conversation. You said, I care about fraud and I don't give a fuck about Trump's crypto. That to me is the issue. That to me is the issue. Do you not care about the fucking pardon of CZ? Do you not care about the fact that when he met with the Indonesian president, he said, "Oh, meet with Eric Trump. We're gonna talk about business reasons." Do you not care about the fucking dinner that the crowd spent nearly $150 million trying to curry favor with the current president of the United States to pay?
Or the executive club
to go. Wait, hold on. People are basically paying the current president of the United States to gain favor with him. Do you not see that as a form of fraud?
Nah.
He's doing it directly. He's telling you what he's doing.
What is fraud then? I don't even understand. If someone
fraud
pays you and goes,
is taking taxpayer dollars and spending it on a daycare when there's no kids.
Oh, okay,
that's fraud.
That is with fraud. That is
fraud. You know what? And to Doobie's point,
no, but that's the definition of fraud. There are no other ways that fraud can occur other than.
I'm not going to sit here and argue definitions.
Democrats do fraud.
Meme coin.
I don't know about the daycare. Like, maybe that is too.
Meme coin. Democrats are fraudsters.
Meme coins are like kind of this pseudo. Like, it's not true fraud. It's scummy.
Why don't y'all
when your president?
I bought Trump. I bought Trump.
When your president is doing it.
But when we're talking,
this isn't a streamer. This is a president.
It doesn't matter who is doing something. The question is it fraud?
Buy Bitcoin.
Not in the terms of definitions of fraud. If it's not really fraud, then it's not fraud whether the president does it or whether you do
compare
it.
the president's actions or the president's fraud to like that of like a streamer or like your average influencer, there's a difference here.
First of all, I'm about to compare it to the governor of a U.S. state. First of all, who is like kind of high up there. Second of all, if you're looking at different actions, you're obviously going to be treating them differently. I also don't equate this, like Trump's meme coin, to like, I don't know, fucking genocide. Like, oh, but that person's not the president of the United States. Yeah, I know, but it's a different action, so I'm talking about it differently. A meme coin, I would say a meme coin is not true fraud, because it's putting out an incredibly speculative investment. Like, I put it in the same categories as, like, I think it's on the blockchain, like NFTs, etc. I mean, I think it's bullshit. I think it's kind of like scummy. But it's not true fraud in the same way. What I think Gibbs is pointing out, which is there apparently has been a lot of fraud going on in Minnesota, and there has been evidence of it going in other states. And to Doobie's point of, well, it's just fraud. You know, you catch it and you punish the people involved. Sure, but you can still criticize a politician for failure of oversight when when they don't take proactive measures or enact policies to prevent something like this from happening. This is like a big deal.
Well, hold on. If he became the VP, he's one heartbeat away from becoming the president. And this guy presided over this and bragged about it in the presidential debate.
Is anyone defending Walls here? Or, like, who are you guys even yapping to?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So, if there are people who did this, convict them. I don't think anybody will be opposed to that.
Yeah, like, genuinely the reason.
So we should send all these to be tortured in the seesaw. That's what we should.
Hold on, real quick. I'm going to repeat what I said, which is, you're right. If it's fraud, you can convict them. But again, this represents a political failure, not only of Tim Walz, but remember, he had just been vetted to be the vice presidential candidate by the DNC. What? 2 years ago.
That's because the DNC was in on this.
Hold on, but lactoid. So I just did like a quick search, random states, right? Just look in the group chat, and I found people defrauding the fucking government programs in all of these states, right? Very quickly. And I'm sure if I did this with every state in the fucking country, I'd find some person, some group of people defrauding the government of millions of dollars, right?
This is billions, happens,
right?
Billions.
Yeah, hold on.
But this is like more extensive than what we're used to,
People defraud the government. No, hold on. With the PPE loans, are fucking billions of dollars in fraud there too.
Yeah. This is bigger than the PPE loans
happens
already.
all the
it's
fucking
already
time.
bigger. This is bigger.
And that was a scandal that we talked.
This is like something that never happens. And oh god, how could this ever happen? How could it how could walls allow this to happen in the state? It's ridiculous.
No. But Doogie, the problem is this is entrenching the system.
I'm not even saying
no one's saying it's not a problem.
Comparable. I'm not even saying this is comparable to like the Epstein
subject from Epstein to this.
No, I was just about to say I'm not saying this is like comparable in the sense of like badness to what's going on with the.
You care more.
It's worse.
But you care more though.
No, it's worse because this is
like literally the day after the shit happens. Yeah, I'm gonna care a little bit more than something we've been talking about for like a year.
That's
fair,
it's
worse.
Probably in 3 weeks I'm gonna go back to caring more about the Epstein.
But you're being more reasonable than Gibbs, who's saying I just don't give a fuck.
Because this is
that's my purpose on this panel. Okay? I'm trying to.
This is the problem with y'all doing
make things a little bit easier.
Is y'all are going? Okay, let's keep talking about the Epstein thing. That's fine. Whatever. Y'all love the Epstein thing. It's the one thing they got on Trump. I get it. I'm happy that y'all have
one thing.
Hold on. But here's
hilarious.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the big issue, and this is why it's worse. This is why it's worse. The fraud thing is because what we're seeing now, and this has been the accusation coming from Republicans for a while, which is that there's this deep state, that this fraudulent thing that got Biden elected fraudulently. There's this fraudulent thing where they keep getting the money. Where's our tax dollars going? And now we're seeing that this fraud is directly funding the Democratic Party, the National Party, and so you have somebody that was a VP candidate that goes up there and then defends this program as something they're proud of. Like no shame, talks about this. Look at all our child care centers in Minnesota. We're leading the way on child care. And then it turns out this is what he did. And then it turns out it's all fraud. And one second, I'm literally almost done. It's all fraud. And then we find out it's being funneled to fund their running of the DNC and have people be elected.
What's your source
This is
for
what
that?
people are talking about.
A source of that?
I have a source for it. Yeah, I can provide. There's about 15. I will. Give me about 10 seconds.
Genuine question. Gibbs, genuine question. So look, I totally willing to concede. I haven't looked into this personally. Genuinely, I don't know. I'm sure that maybe Tim Walz defrauded his whole government. That would be fucked. That'd be really crazy. But are you really claiming that 2 years ago or whenever Tim Walz became the VP, that the entire DNC was fully aware of this fraud and positioned himself as vice president anyway?
No,
because
nobody's saying that.
No, Gibbs did say that.
He did. No. I said, what was it? Whatever the election was last year, he went up on stage against Vance, and he talked about how great Minnesota's child care centers are. Literally bragged about it in the VP
But the DNC knew about all this, right?
Well, the DNC, it looks like they sure did. Well, they got money from it.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, Lactoid. You got that?
I'm saying they did. It's corruption at the highest level. You don't think that they knew this, Lactoid? They clearly did.
We hold on. Wait. We don't know if I think there's a criticism of the DNC that you can.
There's more evidence the DNC knows
their failure to vet.
No, sure.
I think you criticize their failure to vet. I think you can criticize. I think there's a lot of Tim Walz is a goober. I think there's a lot of things you can criticize him for and the DNC for. I am not comfortable saying that the DNC knew at the time they selected him. They affirmatively knew.
No, I'm saying, listen, I know you don't want to say, and y'all call people out, but y'all need to have backbones right now.
You gotta
why don't you have some background? How about y'all have some background?
This is great. You gotta
how
come
about
to
y'all
our
have
side.
some
This is way
background
more
and
reasonable
just
over here.
admit that the DNC was in on it. This was a DNC collusion. This is why the Republicans kept talking about a deep site. Why don't you have some backbone and stand by what I'm your conviction?
Dude,
that's clearly what
there's nothing here.
You see,
why would they fucking put someone in the vice
Prime told me it was a
president?
racist conspiracy 3 weeks ago.
Gibbs,
now there's nothing here.
The photo that you shared is $1, $5, $4,
And this is
$2
a tweet. This is a tweet from Benny Johnson. Could you have any other source?
There's about 50
Yeah, any
sources.
other source.
Shit, dude.
I mean, they've been posting
You
all
said a
day.
Benny Johnson tweet as your source?
I literally posted one. It was like 5 seconds. It's like libs and talk. We can go down
Okay,
the list.
well, give any other one.
Send a different one. We're happy to hear a different
You
one.
said you had 10. Okay,
Sure.
10. So it's
Yeah,
someone
let me
with
know.
that.
I
Benny
said
Johnson
39
tweet,
others.
that's an image.
I said 10
This was a
seconds.
Dave
for sure.
Rubin tweet.
All right.
Jesus Christ, dude.
This is like less than like $100 in donations, less than $100
Yeah.
in donations. Like,
It's just the start. They just discovered this
This is
today.
just an image. This is just an image.
There was
This
it was
is
it was
pathetic.
a search.
Bro,
How-
there's
how in your mind
hundreds of
is it
like
daycare?
there's
Able to
hundreds of
conclude
articles.
anything.
There's like
You're
tons of
fucking
articles coming
pathetic.
out.
This is
There's
so
tweets.
funny.
There's hundreds of articles, and
When they
you
came up
posted
with-
a Benny Johnson tweet. So post one of the hundreds of articles.
Bro, they literally like this. Why don't you all
Literally, there's
Literally,
hundreds.
you don't even
Literally,
get it.
literally.
Literally,
So
do this
anything
to
besides
yourself.
from
You
Benny
can't do
Johnson
this to
tweet.
yourself.
Here you go. Here's one from Mario Nafuel.
Gibbs,
There you go.
can't
How's
do this
that
to
sound?
yourself, brother?
Yeah, it's even
I'm
better.
gonna pick an even better one. You know what I'm saying?
Let
We're gonna
me
just-
be the
What,
dumbest
is this
person
how
on
you
this
do your
panel,
research?
please.
You just search shit on Twitter and then you
No,
like go
what's
through
funny,
people you
I'm literally
follow.
doing this on purpose because I know they're not gonna actually do the Google search themselves. So I'm gonna
We're
post the real
triggering
sources.
the list.
Sorry, wait, hold on. You're giving fake sources as
No,
a
they're real
meme
sources.
because you know that
they're
we're-
real sources.
They're not
just
real sources. Benny
they're real
Johnson's tweet is not a
sources.
real source.
Is he a reporter? He's a reporter, right?
Are you fucking for real? He's like a pundit. He's like a garbage meme.
Oh, so
He's like a
pundits don't
conservative
report
meme
anything?
guy who
How
does a
about-
show
okay,
where he goes,
how
"Look
about-
at this new Trump meme,"
How
and
about-
it's Trump standing with an eagle in the background, going,
Wait. It's Harry.
You're glad you wished you voted for him today."
Do you watch Harry Stisson or whatever his name is? The guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, no,
he's the
I
same
know a little
fucking thing.
I'm not fucking quoting him as my source.
He's a
He's not-
source.
didn't
He's
post
just
a-
as any
he
other
didn't post a
source.
tweet.
I'm not fucking quoting.
Bro,
If someone asked me for a fucking source, I'm not going to show him a Harry Sisson tweet, dude.
It's
Are
still
you
a
fucking
source.
for real?
Wait, by
Did
the
you
way,
see- did
I
you not
get
see this
source
Harry
all the
Sisson
time
debate?
on here. I literally get
Did you
sourced
not
to
see this debate
all
on
the time.
TikTok where he totally owned this
Holy shit.
Republican? You don't use that as sources? Like, look, he owned this guy.
That's not
He
what we're
totally
talking about
mobbed
here.
him. How do you guys feel
You're
about
so stupid.
clavicular? You guys lost clavicular.
You always sit here and act like this
ropers.
isn't happening. We already
They're
like
all,
literally
they're all
this is all
Gavin
coming out
Newsom
Just
fans. How do you
today.
fucking
guys feel
show
about
us
that?
it happening, and then I'll say it's bad and it
All right,
happened. Got
here's
it.
another one. Okay.
He doesn't have anything. That's
Gavin
the
I have-
Newsom mogged.
Like he just likes to throw out accusations. This is the person. This is the person
Nah.
that he'll only believe Trump is a diddler if he sees the footage. But this
No, bro.
I didn't say
real.
footage. I don't wanna see the footage.
Democrats. He wants.
Wait,
he
we
wants
have
to go by
fucking
the Benny
Jeffrey
Johnson
Epstein writing down Donald Trump loves fucking little girls, and he goes, I need to see the inside of the vagina myself.
Yeah, the standard
Otherwise, it
evidence for
doesn't
Gibbs
count.
for Trump. He needs to see the footage. But
Yeah.
Ben Johnson tweet to condemn all the
A
Democrats.
fucking Benny
that's
Johnson
gonna
tweet
fly.
is crazy.
I mean, this
We're
is the
over
first one. We're
$100
literally
in
seeing it.
donations,
Listen,
Corey.
well, hold on. What was
$100.
literally crazy is
We're
like a couple
literally
weeks ago, there was
seeing-
no
there's hundreds of
fraud.
articles, so
No
literally posting all
fraud.
those hundreds of articles.
39.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Hold
pick
on,
another
no
really
one's
good one.
fucking saying there's not fraud. It's
49.
so
It's not
possible
even
that Tim Walz committed the
$100. It's not
fraud.
even-
Okay.
It's not even $75. It's
Then he's a bad
$74.
dude. We should
It's
not have him as
$74
governor
in
anymore.
donations.
It's like
$74 in donations is fraud, according to Benny Johnson. And
No, this
Mar-
was thousands
Margaret
of dollars. There
Cleveland.
you go.
Mind you, it's the Margaret Cleveland quote. You
Christ.
tweet. That's the tweet that you're referencing.
There
It's
you
not
go,
the
that's a
Benny
good one.
Johnson tweet. Whoever Margaret Cleveland is,
How about
She
Mario
is the-
Nafuel? There you go.
professor of MJ. What the fuck is?
Can
who is
you?
this person?
It's so clear that you're just like scrambling. I'll find
Nah.
something, guys. Please, I
I
promise.
literally, you can ask Lactoid. I literally sent him about 50 sources earlier today. Some of them mentioned this.
Okay,
some of them
Lactoid,
didn't.
send
Dude,
one of
I
those.
am
Lactoid,
so sorry.
Can you corroborate with
Dude, that's-
Gibbs?
Some
here? Help him
tweets,
out.
some
This is-
articles. I sent him.
I've made my look. I don't agree with Gibbs's very strong claim here. I've seen these articles. Gibbs did send me articles I'm that he's posting here in chat. That he's not lying about
Wait,
that.
the Benny Johnson tweet is an article to you?
No, that was a tweet.
No.
It was about 50. Yeah, not all of them were articles. It was about like 50 different links. Some of them were tweets. Some of them were like.
He's saying,
tweets that led to, like,
what's
one
the
article.
ratio
Look,
of
I'll
tweets
pretend to
to,
be on
like,
point
Gibbs'
is-
side, but
no,
sometimes
the
he
point
sends me a
is-
whole bunch
no,
of
no, the
bullshit.
point is, this is
and
what
I
happens.
make
What
it
happens
real.
is, what happens is, I come on here and then
Lactoid,
I'll make
was
a
it like
claim,
5 to
and then
45?
Gibbs won't provide a source, and I'll provide a source. And what's even crazier is you go to my Discord. I have about 200 sources posted. Like I literally post nonstop, and then
Fucking
I then-
post any
hold
of
on,
them.
Hold on, they're all posted.
Post one.
You're in my Discord. You can go there and look right now. But
Well,
like,
fine,
No, just
No,
you
no,
fucking post
no,
it. You
no.
keep making this claim.
No, because what's going to happen? I'm going to keep making this claim because I've been told many times that we can come on. I literally got told last week it's okay if people come on here and lie and we fact check them. It's a problem. And then I come over here and I post sources. I just don't like the sources. And then what happens? is I end up being right every
The
other
Benny
every other
Johnson
time.
tweet is not a fucking source.
He's a source.
That's
He's
so.
absolutely a source.
It's
Also,
insane
Minnesota
that
was
you're like.
He's a
you're like,
reporter.
guys, look at my
3,000
sources.
years ago.
He's
Here,
a reporter.
I'm gonna
He's a
give-
he's a BuzzFeed reporter that talks about
reporter.
who the sexiest
Wait, hold on.
presidents were.
Hold on. Like you
This
say,
is one of the
BuzzFeed's not a
sources that
source.
Gibbs sent me. This is one of the things he sent me hours ago.
Okay.
Gibbs did send this to me hours ago.
Okay.
It's from CBS.
Oh, okay.
And it is arguing that there's several employees that were part of Feeding Our Future that pressured the government to stop investigating fraud fraud as early as July 2019.
Yeah. So, like I said, I posted a whole bunch of shit today, like about this. I've been posting about this shit for weeks.
Wait, I'm confused here.
No, but you're not. We're not corroborating. This is not evidence of any transfers to the DNC or how they support.
I just posted another one where they have literal.
Wait, hold on. Can we take one fucking? Can we do it one at a time?
That's the claim that I'm like. It's one of the claims I'm.
Well, that's the new claim. That's come out in the last 24 hours.
That they received,
Does this claim say that fucking Tim Walz knew about it, or that the fucking DNC knew about it?
This is what's really interesting, Thex. I'm so glad you brought this up. That's a perfect segue into my next thing. Is there's rumors now. There's rumors now because we want to talk about other things.
Rumors.
Rumors. Hold on. I don't have the rumor, but I've seen the rumors.
You're making it up right as we speak.
Hold on.
He's fucking got the rumors.
Hortman, Melissa Hortman, remember her, the one that got killed, was the only one that voted against the child care, and she died right after. There's someone with Tim Walz connections. Interesting how that worked out.
Are you fucking for real?
Hey,
dude, is she working with Mossad?
Lactoid, like, I'm not gonna get Gibbs. Lactoid, you have to look at your own party and go, what the fuck is wrong?
What's crazy is I keep ending up being right.
Lactoid's chilling, bro.
Yeah, because he knows he
has
no
because I end up being right more than I'm wrong.
These are the people you voted with. I want you to understand. These are the people you voted inside of
it's a big tent party. I gotta agree with everything that everyone says.
Hold on,
you can't hold
on. Don't say there was no fraud 3 weeks ago. Now there's fraud. It's interesting how I keep saying to be right.
No,
that's
everyone's a pedophile.
That's the easy way out.
For this side.
I'm just saying, I keep ending up being right on this issue, and y'all keep going, nah.
Can you make one fucking?
Let Doobie jump in just for a second. Go ahead.
So, Lacto, the CBS story doesn't say that the Democrat Party or Tim Walz or whoever put pressure on them to stop. It was that the charitable organization itself that they were investigating filed a lawsuit, and that's why they stopped. Right? They filed a lawsuit against them, and that put pressure on them to drop the investigation.
Guys, he's right about everything. Every single claim he's made.
Well, there's also there's
bullshit.
Well, there's 3 judges that dismissed. There's 3 judges.
God damn it! Every time we corner you, you go, wait, hold on, guys. I've got another source.
Hold on, there's
100 of these.
3 judges dismissed.
I'm on my 3rd one
about
now.
Somali healthcare for child care fraud.
Dude, is this what it's like?
Judges. I'm just saying, y'all saying this didn't happen. That was also a while back. So it's not like this is just a new thing.
How did these people come and learn this scam so good in America?
I don't know. The Somali pirates.
No, wait.
The Somali pirates need
notes. Gibbs, let me address something Doobie said. The lawsuit was later in 2020 or 2021.
Yeah. So so just like
but the very first sentence of the article,
they spotted early signs, and then it says they quickly faced pressure from leaders of the group that feeding our future to stop asking questions. And if you read through the story, that pressure is the lawsuit. That's what they're referring to. If I was a lawsuit,
that's not the only pressure that they got. There's obviously going to be political pressure as well.
Where does it say that? Where does it say they got political pressure from any Democrat Party organization or anybody in politics? Like it looks like the pressure was from the group claiming that they were being discriminated against by the government, by the state, through this investigation.
When are we doing the real debate? The one that we came here for? Are we waiting on something?
When we're done with this.
Next year.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought.
It's just crazy because literally 3 weeks ago, I was told this wasn't a thing. Gibbs' conspiracy theory is crazy. As of today, it looks like there's already 60 convictions, or 60 people pled guilty to this out of 92 charged.
When you make 1,000 fucking claims and with vague sources every time, one of those is gonna end up.
Well, what's crazy is I made this specific one about the Somali fraud thing, and Prime came out.
Like I said,
I've been trying to do this for a while, and once again, it's come up, and it's amazing how it's right. And y'all are going, oh, it's crazy if you make these claims.
Hey, hold on, isn't it like? I think calling it the Somali fraud thing is a little bit iffy. I think, because as I said earlier, there are plenty of people to defraud the government. No, there are plenty of people who defraud the government. I posted a bunch of links about the stories in California, Arizona, and I think Florida in our group chat. I don't think their ethnicity is relevant.
It is relevant because let me read this to you. I'll post this in here, and I'll tell you why it's relevant. Right? And it's not just it's not just the Somalis, right? If this is it's really, I think the immigrant crime has been a Democratic Party thing in general. But of the research come back, and of 1,020 of them, 800 of the ones that are of them are Somali owned. So That's the problem here, right here. This specifically in Minnesota is Somali based, but I think we should expand it to where it's immigrant fraud, like and include things like the driver's license scams and then the welfare and the Medicaid. I think all of those should be included, and I think that when it's American citizens defrauding the government, that's bad. But it's a different thing when you have foreign people that coming in here and taking American tax dollars.
Are these foreign? When you say foreign people, are these like immigrants or are they like are they citizens?
Well, most of them would be.
They always are.
But I mean, some of them got citizenship.
Benny Johnson wouldn't be tweeting about it if they weren't immigrants,
right?
Well, some of them are. Some of them are. I mean, I just posted actual local news articles as well. I mean, if you think local news is not a good credible source, then taxiums, then I don't know. But like, I just posted.
Are you fucking for real? I'm just. Can we move on to the real debate, the one that we're prepared for? Because I can't wade through all these fucking weird sources that he sends me.
I mean,
nobody can.
Good sources. And I keep in the
there was definitely there was definitely political pressure. There was the lawsuit in 2020, but there was definitely political pressure. And when the payments were unfrozen in 2021, they quite literally said that from Omar Fattah, State Senator Omar Fattah, saying the pressure on leadership was working when they unfroze the payments.
So does that fucking vindicate you, Gibbs? Is that every single modicum of like fraud touches your ears and you go, "See, I told you guys."
No, because I'm gonna just Gibbs, with all due respect, like we got to be careful about how strong some of our claims are. Okay.
Benny Johnson's tweet at the foundation, so it's
I will make the claim. This is the claim, and this is not a claim that I was actually hesitant to like get on board with this for many years until very recently. Very recently. This is the claim that's been going out, right? Is one, the Democrats and maybe the Uniparty, whatever that actually looks like, have had some kind of corrupt hold in the government to where they ensure their people are elected and they've basically been funneling our tax dollars. And then now we're peeling back the layers of this nasty onion and we're finding out about the immigrant fraud in these states where they told us no illegal immigrants voted. And we're finding out some of them had thousands vote. We don't know if it's enough to say, that got Biden elected. We're finding out, this fraud went billions and billions of dollars to foreign nationals, some of them, and it's just crazy. Y'all gonna go,
Sorry, hon. I was doing something else. I do apologize. Like we also know that they were defrauded votes.
Yeah, I mean that's something to find out now. Nevada just put out a thing yesterday, I believe, about it. Yeah, I'm sure we can find that one, talking about how they basically gave out 47,000 licenses. We have 1,500 dead people voted in this election. They listed a whole bunch of different stuff, and we're finding this out in like all sorts of states. And then some of these places like Minnesota,
I would love to see that.
No, Minnesota doesn't have voter ID law, so like, hey, what's the prize?
Sorry. Let me just do this a little bit more slowly. Saying dead people voted is something that Republicans do all the time, right? And like they'll base that off of voter rolls where people have died, right? But like there are other people with a similar name and they voted, right?
Can you show us?
Voted.
Just show us the source.
So I'll have to see like information on that specifically, right?
Sure.
But also like. And getting a driver's license may be fraudulently. I don't know what the case may be there. I can believe that that's the thing that's happened. But like that doesn't turn into a vote, right?
Maybe Matt Walsh tweeted about it. You can
check. It was Senator Langford is the one who tweeted about it. Is he a good enough source for y'all?
No, wait, hold on. No. That's not a source.
Yes, it is.
He tweeted about. No.
He gave a speech, and then they which they quoted. He revealed the sources, and then they retweeted clips of it. Yeah, that is a source, correct?
What the fuck is he talking about? You just say it at a rally.
Hold on. If you
want,
a
congressman,
if you want, are you? Listen, I say this with all due respect. Are you retarded? If I say something,
is that what you're saying? I'm lost. Am I crazy?
If I say something and I'm giving a presentation to Congress, and then the news reports on that clip and takes a clip and reports that and posts the highlight reel of like, all the stats I listed and has me saying it, is that not a news?
I'm not fucking following what you're saying. Can you just send me the fucking tweet and then I can look at it myself? Because I think you're
just posted.
It's in the
Okay, great. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna shut up now. I'm gonna look.
So while he's talking, I think what his and
this is just the tip.
Friction. I think what his friction with you here is that like there's a difference between a primary source and a secondary source, right? And so a congressman, well, it depends what we're talking about. but a congressman might oftentimes be a secondary source, right? They're saying they're like reporting, hey, NBC News said this. I'm a congressman, right? And I say NBC News says this, right? I'm not the primary source. I'm a secondary source. Like, and you can say a
NBC is a secondary.
Correct.
NBC, how? Oh no, you're correct. You're correct. No, you're absolutely correct there.
No, this is
secondary source is they're reporting it. The primary source would be the individuals who actually were involved.
Yeah, sorry. Did the Nevada Commission say this?
Yeah, yes. Thank you for correcting me.
Where did the Nevada Commission say this? Because that's not in the fucking tweet.
Hold on. This is the problem.
It's crazy you keep sending me tweets.
It's an effort to track that information down. It's easy to go to a tweet and just say this person said something.
This is the problem. I posted actual articles in there. You didn't read those either. I posted the tweets, which are nice.
You're posting like 50 things. I'm trying to track them all at once.
The tweets are small, very easily readable, little nuggets of information in this day and era of like 30 second sound bites. This is how you consume
your media. It's crazy.
No. That's not how
Hold on.
I've consumed my media.
You are not showing me. There's not a single article about this Nevada roll call. I'm focusing in on that. What the fuck are you talking about when you said 2,000 people voted who were dead in Nevada? Can you show any primary source for that?
I literally just posted this one right here.
No. You posted a fucking congressman saying that.
Oh, congressman saying it. So you're saying we should just not quote some congressman. So next time we
wait. So when Trump says there's 25 million illegals in the United States, that is a true number.
It's true because he's the president?
I mean, it's a usable number.
What do you mean it's usable? You can't fucking get that anywhere else.
That doesn't mean anything.
He just made it up and then we go, all right, well, that's
how do you know he made it up? Do you have more information than the president of the United States?
Okay, so you back it up.
No, but I'm less of a liar than he is. That's crazy.
This guy knows more than the president of the United States how many illegals he is. He knows.
The world you live in.
The world you live in. You think you know more than the president?
Wait. Gibbs. Didn't you just say that all politicians were corrupt?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a source.
What the fuck are we talking about? So wait, hold on. So they are fully corrupt behind the surface, swindling the governments for millions, but also everything that they say 100% of the time is unimpeachably true.
That's not what I said.
Well, that's where you have to go if you're sourcing it by a congressman.
No. See, this is between me and you, right? I get my information from a plethora of different sources. Some are deep and well researched. Some might be just a tweet. Sometimes, listen, I don't know how you do business. I don't know what kind of business you're in. In my business, listen, all my shit's not the ranching, because that shit's pretty static.
But do you own a business? If you don't own a business,
hold on. If you're looking at things to invest into, you got to be looking at what's moving like on the surface. You're not always going to have the most detailed financial reports on a potential purchase, right? Sometimes you're going to have to make educated guesses. And if I'm seeing from 50 different surface level sources, hey, there's smoke right here. And then later when I make this claim, say, hey, there are sources saying this, y'all go, that's ludicrous. And then 3 weeks later, now all the facts come out that back up what these original claims were. Then y'all go, well, that sounds like a conspiracy theory.
You have been screaming. Wait, hold on. You guys have been screaming about faulty and like dead people voting for at least 6 years. At the minimum.
Well, now
okay. Can you show me? Huh?
Much longer than that.
I said at the fucking minimum.
That's not the minimum. I'm saying it's not the minimum. It's
are you retarded, dude? Are you fucking for real?
Go ahead. No, you can go ahead, but like I'm just saying, like there's a long history of Republicans like making claims about dead voters. Like it's like the whole thing.
Fucking minimum. God damn it.
Hold on. You saying? A minimum could be an hour.
Julius Caesar died a minimum of 3 years ago.
It's got to be
right?
if it's
Caesar died more than 3 years ago. Caesar.
Then it's above 6 years.
Yeah.
He's not saying a maximum of 6 years. He's saying a minimum of 6 years.
Yeah, Caesar died a minimum of 6 years ago.
But I'm saying that's an incorrect scale.
Okay, whatever.
If I say whatever,
it would also be okay. I don't care.
It would be also be incorrect, right? If I said they've been making these claims for at least an hour, right? Like no, so it'd be correct. Yes, they've been making that claim for at least an hour, true, right? But like that's an incorrect scale.
Fine.
That doesn't like actually like.
I'm happy to concede that. Fine, I'm happy to.
Oh, are you saying that the scale is like gives us the wrong idea, kind of?
Yeah. It's like a misleading thing to say. It's been
like
years.
The Roman Empire like existed at least 2 hours ago.
That's what Gibbs said.
Technically true, but
okay, fine.
Okay, fine.
Can you show me a single fucking source of like more than maybe 3 people who have been dead who have been voting in elections?
According to the tweet that he posted, over 1,500.
Oh shit! Oh wait, hold on. Did a congressman say that?
Yes, apparently.
Oh fuck! All right, never mind. I'm
Gibbs,
sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Gibbs is gonna have a source of the 1,500 resurrection of the dead voting.
Shit, dude. I'm sorry, dude. I didn't realize a congressman said it.
Yeah, I mean, I was more worried about the illegals voting. That's more what I've been preaching about for this whole time with the driver's license.
Can you fucking point to a single
in the tweet? Over 4,000 undocumented. That's right, illegal aliens.
Point to those fucking people, please,
4,
with a real source. A real fucking source, and not like 2 people where it comes out later and then it's like, oh shit, and then they fix it. Like a real substantial. And when I say substantial, more than fucking 50 is substantial. I will accept 51 illegal immigrants, and I go, shit, that's a problem.
So like,
and I know you're claiming that there's like fucking 3 million, so you better find 51.
I mean, I could think of 51 off the top of my head. Kim Paxton.
You can think of.
That's a usable number. That's a usable thought. So
Kim Paxton. I mean, Kim Paxton. There's a lawsuit already right now open where it gets 2,700 people that Kim Paxton has going. So, like, I mean,
it's a lawsuit. Wait, no. Could you show me a fucking source rather than just someone making a claim and then suing the government over it?
Sure, I'll find one talking about Kim Paxton's fine. Here you go.
Jesus Christ, dude, your sources are so fucking weird. They're like, someone said it once, and then according to this specific person, someone said, oh, they also said it at this time. Fuck. Oh, I can't deal with this shit. I can't fucking have political conversations like this. It drives me fucking crazy.
because listen, this is the problem that y'all have is y'all want to source debate the whole time instead of argue over the facts.
I want to give you something, Gibbs. I want to give you something because I don't dodge the smoke, right? Because this is for me originally, right? I have not looked into. I've heard like a news story about the Minnesota. Some supposedly Somali fraud situation, right? Have AIDS story, but haven't deeply looked into it yet. Sorry, but just haven't done that. But I want to. Okay. But in any case, right? The smoke was for me, and I'll say if this pans out, right, then you were correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's why I like Prime. You can admit things.
Okay, yeah. If it pans out, yeah, indeed, you're correct.
He didn't even fucking say anything other than if you're right, you're right.
Listen, I just end up being right.
He's just like I like to hear when people tell me that I'm right. It makes me feel good.
It makes everybody feel good. But first of all, I get told I'm crazy when I bring these stories up all the time.
Yeah, because you fucking are. Like,
I end up becoming true.
Fucking conversations.
I'm just like, I'm the new Alex Jones.
You're gonna make me
more
crash
often
out.
correct.
Dude, this is crazy.
The only thing though, and
this is the problem, is y'all are so worried about the quality of the source of the data that sometimes y'all miss obvious shit. Like, this happens a lot.
Gotcha. So if I find 50
sometimes you're just too worried about the quality of the source, Lactoid, right?
That's fucking crazy.
He takes his energy to court, right? He tells that to the judge. Sometimes you're too worried about like the evidence that I'm presenting, right? Like it can come from anywhere, and I think you're focusing on the wrong thing.
Dude, Lactoid, I really need you to crash out more at Gibbs because this is fucking crazy.
Look,
if
I deal with enough left,
freak out at.
He has no backbone.
I need you to freak
out.
I'm not gonna. This is not. Hold on. If I'm in a heated like discussion, usually one-on-one with somebody, and like escalates, sometimes like I'll crash out, yeah. But like I'm not crashing out, right?
Okay, that's fair.
You guys are all kind of jumping down Gibbs's neck. I don't think you guys,
good reason.
Bad reason.
Look, I think Gibbs is making claims that are too strong. I think that there's plenty here to criticize the Democrats without going to like
you're so fucking
rumors
to people on your own side. Because I know what's in your heart. You go, dude, this fucking goddamn idiot.
I just didn't be right though. It's the problem. It's like you keep saying this. It's like this is like
there's some conspiracy theories that are coming out right now.
The thing is that y'all do this, and like this is the thing I've had with several of the debates. Like, okay, I will do this beforehand. Is I'll post like actual good sources along with the bad ones. Right?
Stop saying actual good sources. You haven't sent one yet.
Well, that's on purpose now at this point. But this is the thing.
Oh, okay, dude. I fucking got them.
Because I know
I'm
it's
actually a
crazy.
fucking idiot, and I showed my hand.
No, it's because I always do this beforehand. I always make sure at least a couple people have seen that I got the bullshit stacked up. The thing is, though, we all sit here and y'all are like, oh, if it's not the 3 trustees of like natural law by John Locke with like 15 people's like thesis written on it and 50 people's fucking like data points that have sat down with 200 years of study and like all, then it's not good enough. And I'm sorry, like that's not how shit happens in the real world. First, there's smoke.
True,
and there's
you
like
don't
some
need to see
bullshit.
the tapes of Trump
Well,
kids to condemn him.
Like I said,
right?
you
don't need that standard of evidence, right?
Once again,
right?
if there's tapes
right?
and it's proof, man, fuck it.
That's the point. You need the fucking tapes. Dude, I could show you a million tweets from congressmen saying that Trump is a rapist, and I could point to millions of people saying this shit.
Yeah, there's tweets saying.
No, wait, hold on. No, now you need a conviction. Now you need a fucking conviction.
Okay,
so hold on. Do we think Diddy killed Biggie? Everybody here thinks Diddy and Tupac have something to do with it.
I have no idea.
Most people do.
Most
people think Diddy had something to do with it.
Most people don't have a fucking opinion. Most people don't fucking know or care or think about it.
However, nobody's convicted. You can't say
there was a documentary.
He did it.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, but you can't say
it's not 100%.
We don't know.
100%.
Look, we know OJ did it. Okay, that's 100%.
There we go. Yes.
Did he kill him?
OJ, come on.
If the glove don't fit,
doesn't seem so trustworthy. We might have been sorry.
Damn it.
Gibbs, would you have voted to acquit OJ?
Yes.
Listen,
if you're dumb enough to have the guy put the fucking glove on and it don't fit in the courtroom, that's pretty damning.
It don't fit, so you must have quit.
Yeah.
But
that's like a woman saying that.
Gibbs.
It's one thing, it'd be I'm too thick.
One thing. So, like I said again, the Somali thing, right? Like if all pans out, you're correct. However, right, I want to like combine that with what Doobie was saying previously, right, and the fact that there seems to be like a pot of money here, right? That was given out with like lax oversight. And it seems like a lot of people were using that. Now, I had seen the exact same like during the COVID, right? I was talking to people. I remember especially one person in particular. I was talking to him. He was telling me about his roommates, right? He was living with at least 2 other people, right? Those 2 other people separately had 2 businesses, right? Or at least 2 businesses between them. And they were like the sole proprietor for those businesses. Though they were getting COVID money for like to keep on workers they didn't have, right? His room, they were like, they were just bragging about this. They went to the banks and they took it. These people were not Somalis, right?
Those people too.
And so the only thing I want to caveat, right, is like the proportion. So like I can like if it seems like Somali individuals have been involved with fraud, first of all, put them all in jail, no problem, right? But what it sounds like to me, and I could be wrong about this, right? It sounds like to me that like just people were committing fraud, right? And some of them were Somali, right? And so like
take a shot every time Prime says right.
Somali individuals were involved, but like if it's like a tiny proportion of them, does that mean anything? It would just
that's actually
like
fine. That's actually a good question.
A group of people. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, that's actually a good question. And like, this is why I kind of want to say like the immigrant fraud is a big deal, and it's not because like they're immigrants per se. It's because they're not citizens. Yeah, citizen fraud's bad. But like, I think it's different when it's our money going to like foreign people or people that took advantage of a system. Like when it's just being sent for like right now, Somali pirates should be the ones most mad about this. You know why? Because Somalia's GDP is about like 18 billion, and these people, the Somali fraudsters in Minnesota specifically, have pulled out 18 billion in less than like a year, some shit like that, some crazy amount of time. And that's just on the tip of the iceberg. And I think what this is, we're seeing like this bigger scam that the Dems have, where it's that use immigrants, both legal and illegal, to fund their party and maintain power.
Dude, it's
impossible
having a conversation.
No, some of those were not 100. I sent you another one in there, and it's like thousands of sources.
Here,
just leads down another rabbit hole.
Prime, here.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's just a nasty onion.
Exactly.
Here's the actual criticism. So you're right. PPP, the loans scams. There was a ton of those, and that was fucked. And I was at the time very consistently critical of those loans even being given out in the first place because of the lack of oversight and just how quickly. And I understand there's a lot of pressure, blah blah blah. I still think it was the wrong move, even if I have the benefit of hindsight of saying that. But I was opposed to it at the beginning too, so I should at least get some credit for being right all along.
You get credit like that.
That's fine. I think with the Somalians specifically, the reason why they're fixated on like the Somali aspect is because it looks like that this fraud, in large part, was sort of within the like Somali community, and any kind of attempt to investigate into this was met with accusations of racism. This was part of the pressure that these organizations were levying against state officials, as they were pressuring the state. Yes, and they've also filed a lawsuit in 2020 alleging racism. Right? They were saying that, well, this is bullshit. You know, you're looking into us unfairly because, you know, we're Somali, and the whole time, like, people who were saying actually we should be looking into this were being like insinuated and called racist when it actually was happening. And
but they were looking into it
to a relatively, hold on. Yes, and they were getting criticized and called racist for looking into it. Like, there is a cultural dynamic here that I don't think can be ignored.
When you say they were, like, who was criticizing them?
Sorry,
were they just getting public pressure, or was it like a?
I'm talking about public. I'm talking about like from these organizations, especially, and from the community, and also some
like the ACLU,
well.
or is it
Omar Fattah,
government as well?
Yeah, Omar Fattah, some other kind of local state senators. There was pressure kind of from this community specifically. Now, this is on the back of, and this is another thing that's true. This is on the back of, like, immigrant communities are not all the same when we're looking at how successful they are in America in terms of welfare usage, crime rate, et cetera, et cetera. And Somalis tend to be actually kind of on the poorer end of a lot of the metrics that we're talking about. Mexican immigrants tend to use welfare relatively low and relatively low numbers compared to Somali immigrants. Somali immigrants use up actually a considerable amount of welfare. I think of all the immigrant groups, they are the biggest, or at least in like one of the top in terms of percentages of them on welfare.
Okay.
Much more likely to commit crime than other immigrant groups, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that there is kind of already that stewing, with that criticism, I suppose, stewing, and then this happens, which is like, oh, and there was also this big fraud plot that was exposed, and the part where I think there's tons of criticism there that can genuinely be levied. I think the part that I'm not on board with is saying, first of all, that the Dems knew about it in 2024. Or the early part of 2024. I haven't seen any evidence of that. If that comes out, then
and it would be crazy if that
would be crazy big, because that would mean the DNC is like actually should be like criminally indicted. That's fucking crazy. Like, a bunch of people are going to be criminally indicted if that happens. I haven't seen evidence of that. Well, I'm just saying. We haven't seen that yet. I'm just saying we haven't seen that yet.
Dude, Lacko, you're being so fucking reasonable and so like, and then fucking Gibbs comes in with a hand grenade and just goes, "Fuck you."
We just haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen it yet, and so that would be crazy. I'm not convinced that Hoffman, the senator that was horribly murdered, is all related. Yeah,
but we should ask some questions.
Oh no!
So I just want
Wait, why should we ask questions?
Can I respond?
One second. I want quickly, because this was to
Go
me.
for it,
But yeah, Lactoid. So you're saying that, like, the proportion isn't the problem necessarily. It's simply that when people were trying to look into this, right, however many people were involved, right, they were maligned for doing so and called racist, and that's what they find
by some
here, right?
By some, yes. By some. Okay. And we're talking about, again, like an immigrant group that has really concentrated in large respects in Minnesota, much more so than almost any other state.
Yeah.
And does hold considerable political influence in that state. Not to say, like, Somalians overall are a pretty small percentage of the U.S., but in Minnesota, they're actually kind of a big percentage of the population.
Yeah, like
right?
Jews in New York. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely, right? That's a good comparison. And so, and you, on top of that, you have, in terms of, again, the socioeconomic metrics, welfare usage, crime rates, et cetera, they're not as successful as other immigrant groups, which is already kind of, for some, causing tensions.
Well, but this is the thing, Lactoid, right? And I know y'all are all like laughing and being like, "Ha, Gibbs is saying crazy shit," but like,
it's mostly me.
In fact, Prime, I think if you remember all the way back to Tim Pool when we did it, I remember distinctly saying it's pretty crazy how the Dems now can't fund their stuff. Right now that USAID has been cut. There hasn't been a definitive link proven yet between that, but it's kind of suspicious. And then now we're saying it's right here, right now, with this Somali fraud kind of case. We had Tim Walz go up on the VP stage and debate Vance and talk about the child care system and how great it was. Then he claimed he'd stop funding some of these when he actually kept funding some of these groups, right? And we have videos of Tim Walz putting the Somali flag behind him and replacing the Minnesota state flag. So it seems like there is some widespread knowing by the DNC. Let me give you a further one. Here's another.
That new flag is suspiciously like a Somalian flag.
Yeah, well, here's another one. Here's another one. We got Ilhan Omar's husband eliminated all the investors and all the people that are on her
Somalia is Israel
off his thing after we find out between $30 and $60 million have been made by him in less than a year under this program with it. So it's like when we're looking at this, it seems like there is some sort of link between this fraud and the actual DNC itself. Now, what that link is, I don't know, but there's a lot of smoke. And so when I say this and y'all go, oh, that's conspiracy.
There's a lot of smoke around Trump and Epstein, but that doesn't, you don't care about that.
Well, it's shitty. That's good. Bad for them, I guess.
Yeah, it's exactly.
No. There's a lot of smoke.
Cool.
There's a lot of smoke.
But he doesn't care. He admitted he doesn't care.
I've already admitted. Are Republicans ignoring Epstein? Sure.
Okay, we can say we don't care then.
Yes.
You don't care.
I already said
that. You don't care about the fraud. You don't care.
At the same time, yeah, we could say that we don't care.
You could do that. You could do that. But the problem with this is y'all are
and
using
it's a valid
Epstein
position,
to
just
stop
as yours, right?
No, this is a bigger problem. This is a bigger problem because the Epstein thing affects just Trump. That's not like it's if Trump goes down.
The president.
Hold on. Is Vance in the Epstein list?
Caroline Leavitt.
Is Vance in the Epstein list?
So Vance is what did
nobody
doubt it.
Well, so if Trump is gone, hold on. If Trump is gone, then we can see what President Vance is going to do. I, for one, am excited. I'm ready for that.
Nah.
So you know what? I hope y'all get it.
Even though Gavin Newsom mogs
I hope y'all get Trump, and then we can see what President Vance is like. I'm okay with that.
Gavin
So
Newsom mogs JD Vance with his recessed maxilla.
Bro, he couldn't mog fucking DeSantis with the poop map. How are you going to tell me he mogs fucking...
No, he mogs DeSantis too.
Nah, crazy.
DeSantis also has a recessed maxilla.
I prefer Vance. I would prefer Vance to Trump.
Y'all act like that's a punishment for people like me. I'm happy if Vance gets in. I'm like, hell yeah, no more Trump, whatever.
Okay,
let's see what Vance does.
Vance isn't winning anytime soon.
The problem is this other one is it entrenches the whole Democratic Party. That's the problem. Is this a corrupt regime?
You gotta fix that camera, bro.
Okay,
I did that on purpose.
So again, if there's fraud and if there's
disable Zoom,
Why? To
Gibbs, right? To deal with you directly. If the DNC knew about it,
it looks shit.
If they covered up for it, right? They should be in jail. Absolutely, no question. They should be indicted, right? There should be huge investigations. Let's have some perp walks, right? That Fox News and all other news sources should be plastering all around.
We should just disband.
Literally, not a single
Would
person
you be okay? Would you be okay with disbanding the Democratic Party? That turns out the DNC itself was.
See, why can't we argue on that ground? Like, you're giving too much credit. You're like, well, I think fraud is bad. No one disagrees.
I want to disband the Democratic Party for supporting a genocide. That's why I want.
He's like, anyway,
I'm ready to go.
Pride. There we go.
Fuck that. Yeah.
We're slowly going to win our
anyway,
side.
If Hunter, if you want to say anything else, go ahead.
You are not.
No, I would you had allies. To go into the real fucking conversation.
I bet you
prepared for the ones I've actually got sources for.
I can trade Israel out for
Tweet? Betty Johnson tweets?
Yeah. This one's from Dave Rubin. This one's from Matt
even
Walsh.
better.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Once again, great start. This is a lot of fun. Hey y'all, if you enjoyed that sitting out there pre-debate, right? Consider supporting the channel, follow the channel, right? Whether you be on Twitch, YouTube, or Kick, right? Consider doing that. Follow me on TikTok too. I am there. I haven't posted a video, but like one day we hope it'll happen. But we're trying to stream TikTok. We're trying to make that happen. Okay.
You're telling me the secret, man.
And Ali has been yelling about me in my DMs. I haven't replied, but I'll deal with it later. I just don't want to. I don't want to. I know.
We're gonna stop saying it out loud, and we're just gonna hope someone gifts it to you.
Okay. All right. But anyway, everyone, consider supporting the channel. Subs to the channel, give bits or give subs, right? Support us on YouTube. Super chats. We'll throw your super chat on screen and we'll discuss it. We'll talk about it. It'll be great. Sometimes if you get a good super chat, we'll just like derail the whole conversation. Just talk about your super chat. So if that's something that interests you, consider supporting the channel that way. But thank you to anyone who has. Consider following the channel on any platform. So we've got a great group of guests here. Why don't we just like jump into the topic and then you guys can introduce yourselves as we go along. Okay. So, all right, the topic is in the previous week, under the leadership of Barry Weiss, CBS pulled a 60-minute segment about the treatment of detainees at the CCOT prison in El Salvador. In the segment, testimonies of former prisoners paint CCOT as nothing less than a torture chamber. Horrific stories of abuse are detailed. A common refrain is that America doesn't torture. So much of America's self-perception rests on having some sort of moral high ground in comparison to other major powers. In your opinion, has this ever been true? Is the U.S. at all better than its rivals? Has the U.S. ever been above the use of torture? Or is all of this just a story Americans tell to themselves to hide the brutality they inflict on the world? This story did blow up, and I'm curious how much legs the story has. But last week there was supposed to be a 60-minute report about CCOT, and they interviewed a lot of people who were there, right? And some who were let go afterwards. And they compared statements that the Trump administration had made about the detainees compared to who was actually there, right? Like we had that whole moment where Kristi Noem went to the prison and said, like, look at the people behind me, these animals, who had all those tattoos. Like, these are the people we're putting back there, and the Democrats want to fight us and all that, right? But that wasn't true, right? Those people weren't the people we sent. They were just like other people from El Salvador. So it was an interesting and well-researched piece. It got pulled by Barry Weiss. CBS has just recently been bought by Larry Ellison and his son, I don't know, dumbass Ellison. I forget what the other guy's the son's name is, but they're both like super ugly. I'm gonna put that out there. They're like unattractive people. Not.
Therefore, by default, they're incorrect just by virtue of being ugly.
Yeah, it's no Barry Johnson tweet on the level of correctness.
Listen, Benny's a good-looking guy. He gets 10 IQ points just for being decent looking.
Benny's a good-looking guy. I'll give him that. He's an awful propagandist, but he's a good-looking guy, I think. Anyway, but these people are staunch allies of Trump, right? Barry Weiss, an ally of Trump, and it seems like she pulled a story down to cover for him. At least that's what people are saying. In any case, we could talk about that, but also like the heart of it, and like what is America like? What is our relation to the mistreatment of prisoners? Is it something that we actually do, or is it something we do a little bit, or is it something we've always done a lot, and we've just been lying to ourselves? So I really want to dig into all that. We'll start with our friend Lactoid.
Hi, I'm Lactoid. You can find me at Lactoid TV, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. I've been critical of CCOT for a while now as well. I don't think it's good, kind of the details surrounding it. I'm not necessarily opposed to like a mega prison. I'm also not necessarily opposed to what El Salvador did when they launched their war on, they call it like the war on terrorism or something. You always got to be really careful whenever a government says, oh, we got to go take care of these terrorists. So we're taking away a whole bunch of civil rights, which is quite literally what happened. But the situation in El Salvador, I think it's one of those rare times where they genuinely may have had a good point. I think it's like 90% of El Salvadorians approve of what's going on. He has a super majority of support regarding this, like in a way that we would never get in the U.S. about almost any subject. He has a super majority, massive super majority of support on a very controversial issue, removing basically the civil rights for the whole country. That's how bad the gang warfare was. And yeah, it was really fucking bad. So not necessarily opposed to the existence of CCOT. I am concerned about the allegations of torture. That's fucked. And torture happens in plenty of countries. We have no problems backing countries that engage in torture. We back El Salvador. We back Ukraine. We back countries that have documented instances of torture. That being said, it's a little bit different, I think, when we are involved in sending people there with no due process. That's the main criticism that's been levied against the Trump administration, and I think that's fair. I understand, again, wanting to deport terrorists or gang members to prisons, and if the only people going to CCOT were people found like illegal immigrants convicted of murder or convicted of some kind of horrendous crime, I'd be okay with it. The problem is the government has not released a lot of the information that they're using to allege that the people sent to CCOT were actually gang members or terrorists or involved in any kind of definitive crime, which I think is a big problem. So I don't support the overall program. I don't think that makes America bad. I mean, if that makes America bad, then I guess we lost our moral superiority back when Guantanamo Bay opened, because we've been doing this shit for a long time. But I think we're better than other countries.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's go to our friend Gibbs.
He says that as a Canadian, by the way.
Indeed.
Yeah, I do think we're better than other countries. We're better at fucking winning. That's what we're good at. I don't think we're morally superior. I think all these countries are fucking evil in regards to that kind of shit. So, I feel like we should stop pretending that we're better in that regard. I feel like maybe we should just go back to embracing torture. Maybe we should just ship these people out. If you committed a bunch of fraud and you're Somalian or you're Mexican or whatever you are, guess what? You're going to CCOT and you're going to be part of the human centipede. Maybe don't commit fraud next time. I'm just saying, sounds like a bad time. I probably wouldn't do it. You go to Saudi Arabia, they cut off your hand. You know what they don't have? Thieves. Their thievery rate low. I'm not saying that it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying it works, apparently. And you know what? I'm sick of all this fraud happening, and I'm ready to start shipping people to Torture Town, USA, which happens to be in El Salvador. So fuck it. Let's do it. I'm done hearing all this whiny shit from all you lefties. Y'all radicalized me. We went from drone strikes to now I'm okay with torture. Congrats. Thank you, guys. I feel so much better being in the politics world.
We are the ones who did that to Gibbs, right? We pushed him over the edge. I just want everyone else. The left pushed. He was before he was a good person. Now because we bugged him a bit. Now he's for torture.
I've been described as an ally at some one point. Now I'm over here advocating for Torture Town, USA.
Oh my god! Thank you, Gibbs. Let's go to our friend Corey.
Yeah, I'll probably keep it short. I think maybe at some point in history, the U.S. Could be looked upon as some moral authority or having the moral high ground. I think that holds true, recently, for a variety of reasons that maybe we can get into. And I do echo pretty much one of the sentiments that Lactoid mentioned in terms of pretty much, yes, what looks to be at least the deport or sending people to CCOT without a due process. And are we actually sending, let's say, people that are not actually criminals, aside from the illegal immigration aspect, but there's a saying in terms of judging a nation by how it treats its most vulnerable, so to speak. Yes, I do find it strange that even some people will say that just by virtue of them being illegal immigrants, you can do whatever you want to them, and even send them to a torture prison. I don't think that is true, and I would say that reflects poor moral character. And I'll leave it there for now.
Okay, thank you so much. Our good friend Doobie.
So yeah, I don't think we've ever been the anti-torture people. I think that's basically a story, a narrative that allows us to hold on to we're the good guys' identity, right, as a country. But I do think that we should try to be that country. Right? We should try to not to do terrible things to people. I don't support CCOT. I don't support sending people who are not involved in drug trafficking, murder, criminal activity, etc., to that place. That's disgusting, I think. What they're doing in Venezuela, right, is popularity there. I have no context for this, right? I understand that they had a massive issue with gangs in that country. So maybe from the perspective of a Venezuelan who's living that life and dealing with his gangs every day, maybe this makes sense to them, right? To me as an American, it doesn't make sense to me, right? The people that we're sending there don't seem to pose that kind of major threat to our country. So it seems ridiculous discussing that we are doing this. So yeah, I think we should stop that.
Thank you. Hunter, love to hear your thoughts.
So Lactoid isn't here, but I just want to let him know that we've debated like 20 times before, and this is the first time we're going to be on the same side. I think America's been like the longest surviving government for a reason. It's one of the most protective of civil liberties. It's been a roadmap for independence for centuries. I would obviously concede that there are times that that America's taken advantage of being the sheriff. Like we could obviously point to something like Iraq. Are you squinting about the oldest government?
I've never heard that claim, but that's interesting.
I'm squinting at it.
Yeah, no, it's a real. Well, sorry, it's not the same exact government, but the fact that the Constitution has existed for like 250 years is very unique to America. I think that very often when we talk about foreign policy, we only really talk about the bad parts, which are really fair, right? I'm not going to back what happened in Iraq is fucked. What we're doing right now with Venezuela is fucked. There's a lot of really, really bad things that America's done, but I also think that being the sheriff, like we've done a lot of really positive things. We ended genocide in the Balkans. In Yugoslavia, we liberated Kuwait. Like there are a lot of really positive things that we have done. And I think that we have to be nuanced about these sort of conversations. And also, one other thing that I want to say is that Gibbs does not love this country or anything else that it really stands for. Because when he talks about torture, when he talks about revoking civil liberties, that is what I fucking love about this country, is how much we stand up for our civil liberties. And the fact that he wants to revoke it shows that Trump Republicans do not care about this country. And that is my biggest issue about Trump, is that he is a very different force than we're used to in America. And he is denigrating what America has stood for. So I guess I actually don't know what side I'm standing on. But
okay, so I guess maybe not on the Lactoid side. All right, thank you.
Yeah, man, no, but it sounds like me and Lactoid agree on.
You know you're not on Gibbs' side. That's what
I am not fucking on Gibbs' side. That's
there you
fucked.
go.
Yeah.
All right.
Torture is bad. We can.
Not according to this fucking guy. Yeah. Jesus.
All right. Let's go to our friend Ali.
Yeah, I think I agree with Doobie. Right, and that we should be striving to not be doing these things, but it was a nice way that Lactoid and Staxium put it, right? Like they put the cape on for America, but then Gibbs took the mask off, right? That this is the truth of America. This is actually what, at least a large amount of the Republican Party right now think, like all of MAGA thinks like this. And so I don't know. I think it is a little bit time to stop running with this facade that we're like this moral country, that we don't do these things. I mean, we are the richest country. We're the most advanced, I think, in terms of a lot of things, right? You were saying a lot, Saxon was saying a lot about our freedoms and our Constitution. Then also we have the most imprisonment, right? We imprison the most people, which is like also fucked. And then towards what we do in the rest of the world, I mean, yeah, we can, well, we free up people here and then we bomb them over here. So it's a really not like, the balancing act isn't really fun, and to the people that are getting bombed, I don't think they care that you freed people in other places.
But so, the people who are sorry, this is your intro.
Yeah, the people who are freed are really
don't
excited.
Care about the bombs,
and they don't care about the bombs. But then that's only because we freed them, right? So we only got them on our side so that they can vote with us, right? And then but now we support the bombs. But now these people support the bombs. These people support the torture. These people come over here and they're like, "Oh, America freed us. They can't be the bad. They can't be the bad guy. They're the good guy. All the people they're bombing are the bad guys, then, right?" And we have this whole other problem that ensues. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, maybe it is time for America to embrace. I mean, we see that the current administration is doing it, right? Secretary of War, right? We don't have it. We are in a mask off era. It's fucked. I don't think we've ever really. I think people were lying to themselves because they lived here and they're like, well, we're Americans. We're the good guys. As citizens, we're just people. As a country, we've kind of always been the bad guy.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to have our friend Eucharist jump in, but even more excited for Eucharist's dad stash. right? That's the real star, MVP. It's gonna be bringing the ladies. They love that kind of energy. So thank you, you Chris, for being here.
That stash needs a separate opening statement. I'm sure it has
we need a chat poll going if it's more Ned Flanders or Ted Lasso, because I get both every time I'm on stream. But yeah, I take Prime's question to be functionally like, is the U.S. just the international hypocrite on this issue of torture? And I'm gonna say the answer is it depends, right? So if you look at like pre 9/11. I think the answer is really different. Post 9/11, obviously, we've had our ups and downs. And I take us also to be kind of comparing America to other countries that are, let's call them like stable and institutionally accountable, or what is sometimes maybe condescendingly called developed democracies as opposed to developing democracies, right? So if we compare the U.S. to like Scandinavia and a lot of Western Europe, we might kind of fall short. When we compare the U.S., though, to other countries that have experienced similar things to the U.S., not maybe on the same scale, but similar sort of like terrorist incidents that lead to anti-terror activities, that lead to crackdowns on these sorts of things. Spain, the UK, and France were kind of like squarely middle of the road, I think. And so I think the things we're going to need to be talking about, though, are like in terms of risk of using torture as a developed democracy, the things that create risk for use of torture are things like some sort of great focusing incident like a terrorist attack, some sort of low institutional accountability, whether that's from a weakened judiciary or an increased power to the executive, or whether that's distrust in the media or media reporting that favors terrorism. As far as CCOT itself, I think even if we're like Lactoid and we don't agree, or even if we're like Lactoid and we sort of agree, okay, I'd be fine with, them doing CCOT in principle in their own country. I think one thing that came up in the 60 Minutes report that was spiked is that in the marketing and media around this, the Trump administration has really intentionally focused the pictures and the videos around actual MS-13 gang members who are very obvious about their gang membership because they have giant freaking MSs and 13s on their chest, as opposed to the people who just have like a weed leaf on their knuckle and would just say that means something about MS-13.
Or it's photoshopped on.
Right, exactly. And so I think that speaks something about the kind and quality of people that we're sending to a different country. Not just a different country, again, but a country that they have no connection to, right? If we just want to crack down on immigration, if we want to say, you cross the border, you're a criminal, let's send you back where you came from, I'm not going to say I'm fully on board with that, but I would be way more on board with that than you crossed our border, now you're a criminal, and we're going to accuse you arbitrarily of a bunch of stuff you didn't do, and now we're going to ship you to the torture dungeon. Gibbs seems very okay with that. I'm violently offended by that. So yeah, like, if that makes me a weak, cuck, lib, left, whatever, fine. I just think it's ridiculous. It's insane. And then get to the tail end of the 60 Minutes report, things we already knew, of course, that now the administration is considering sending people to other unrelated countries in Africa, other places famous for torturing people. I just can find no justification for it. It seems ridiculous, other than if you have this vindictive spirit that Gibbs seems to have, which is, I just don't want you in my country. You've done a crime I think is bad enough that I don't care what happens to you. I agree with Hunter that, like, what I like about this country is that we're not supposed to do that. There's supposed to be due process. There's supposed to be proportionality in the punishments we assign for crimes, etc. So we have a way of dealing with people who are in this country illegally. We should follow it, and that's that thing that's called due process. So yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
I found my side, by the way.
Just real quick, Gibbs. What is it? What is this like new fascination with, like, all I hear is this comparison to like Saudi Arabia or like the UAE. Like, in the UAE, you can't do the shit that you're doing. Do you guys want to be the UAE?
No, for real.
No, like, do you want to be? Do you want to be like Saudi?
Fucking aristocratic.
Listen. No,
I was thinking more Byzantine Empire kind of.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just saying. I always see this comparison. Like,
okay, I'm gonna be. You want my honest
proselytizing? Like, go be a Christian and go do that in Saudi Arabia. They'll fucking kill you. It's like, do you want to kill people in the streets? You want to chop people's hands off for stealing? What are we doing here?
Well, so I think
it's comparison.
I think this is actually like maybe like a meta take. I use them as the example of like the no crime, like kind of comparing what El Salvador did, where they had a very harsh sentencing in like an area that traditionally had like corruption was a problem, right? And they have like they cracked down and they knocked it out. There's like no more corruption when typically when you think look at places like around them, there's a lot of corruption, kind of like Mexico, right? You know, like
how big
El
is El Salvador compared to America?
I think the thing is the reason why Republicans in general, and y'all are gonna maybe find this ludicrous when I say this. I think the reason why it's gone mainstream with Republicans making this comparison is because they bought the WWE and the UFC, and they're besties with Trump and them. And so now they're pushing a big, like, hey, look how great Saudi Arabia is. Look at Riyadh season. We don't have any crime. Look how awesome this is. That's why you see someone like.
So you guys are owned by Qatar now?
I mean, well, I guess they're owned by Saudi. I don't know if they're owned by Qatar. I think they're getting away from Qatar. They just closed down A&M.
Is the Middle East just? And I asked this question because you're kind of pushing for you're pushing for pro like authoritarian like theocracy regimes, and like not for nothing in comparison, these are Muslim regimes. Like as a Muslim, I don't even want this fucking shit in the fucking country. But you guys are like all pro it, and it seems that like now we're bought off by Middle Eastern countries, and we should act as Middle Eastern.
That's
countries.
That's not what I'm saying. I feel like there's pros and cons. I feel like crime is a massive problem right now in the United States, right? I think specifically, like, immigration's
crime is like at an all-time.
Yeah, the reporting for crime is really weird, right? Like
shoot, you haven't seen the tweets yet.
Yeah, see, like you say, no.
Yeah.
Hold on. If
he's following all the fatigue Twitter accounts, and that's where he gets his crime stats.
No.
Yeah.
If I sit here and say, "Oh, crime is down," but then I look and y'all stop reporting all theft under $1,500.
You have evidence that they stop reporting?
Yes, there's lots of evidence. There's done this.
Okay, can you post other than a tweet? Can you post a source for that?
Listen, why don't you do this, Corey? All right, before I can finish my point.
I'm not. You don't tell me to do anything.
Right,
I
cool.
can whatever I want.
You don't have to.
Brian tells me. I'll listen to Brian. I don't need to listen to you.
You don't have to do it.
How do I use Discord? How do I find? Like, I'm on your Discord. How do I find these? I don't know how to use this.
California not prosecuting anything under $1,500. Why don't you just Google that?
Not prosecuting is different than not reporting.
You're not reporting. Well, if you're not charging, you're not prosecuting. If you're not committing the crime,
you can report a crime.
You can report it.
Hold on. Why would you report it if there's not going to be prosecution?
I'll defer to.
Hold on.
Prosecuting the same thing as reporting?
No, but if you're going to sit here, are you going to even report something if you know it's not going to be prosecuted?
What's your claim?
It's not.
It's directly tied.
A lot of the FBI crime stats comes from arrests, or comes from the government actually like stepping in and doing something and like reporting that information. And so it doesn't necessarily. The store is still going to have.
You're also not going to report it if you know they're not going to prosecute.
By and create an event number, etc. But that's not going to be reported the same way to the FBI as because the FBI.
Fine. Wait. Sorry, I think we could concede this then, right? Then we could just say, okay, well then small time crimes are still occurring. But yet, wait, hold on. Murders, rapes, anything that is reported are at an all-time low. Do you agree with that?
Not an all-time low.
No. I'm asking Gibbs. Sorry, I'm not asking the reasonable one.
I'm saying
you're too reasonable.
I think it depends. Like once again, it depends on where you're at. I think like if I'm in my city, for example. We're having like an all-time low murder rate, but we got like an all-time high like aggressive assault rate. So like pros and cons. Like it's not that it's that it's a cascading series of problems, right? Like so the immigration issue and the crime is debatable, like whether or not it's low or high or whatever. I like to see evidence of crime all the time. Right, and I see it being worse and worse. Right, and like I see homelessness under Biden. I don't know what homeless currently is, but going into the election was at a 15-year high. Part of that is due to the immigration issue. And then when we're sitting here seeing all this fraud stuff and all these different things, it's like I think it's time we have a crackdown. And like what that looks like is not going to be pretty when you have a crackdown. And like that's what we need right now. And everybody's just like, oh, that's mean. But it's like. Yeah, there's not enough going around.
Germany's crackdown was pretty bad. You're right.
Sure, that was bad. I'm not saying.
I'm sorry. Wait, no. Hold on. The issue of a crackdown on crime is actually functionally completely different from the issue of do we randomly send people to torture prison in a different country they're not from. Those are totally different things. You're just conflating them in a way that's just so infuriating.
Okay, so fine.
Okay, that is
that's fine. Okay, listen. Here's one. Fine. I'll agree with that. Then let's say everybody has to go back exactly where they came from. Do you want to do that instead?
I'd be more okay with that than sending them to the torture prison.
Let's do that. Well, then okay, I'll grant that.
Okay, I guess I'm getting deported to Poland. Because 4 generations back, my
the problem is people don't want to go back.
It's different. What about your parents? If it's your parents, do you get sent back?
My dad is deported. So what's your point?
Wait, no, I agree. I agree. They don't want to go back to where they came from. I agree that should whether or not they want to go back should not be the thing that determines whether or not the U.S. allows them in. But you can also agree. But you can also agree, right, that there might be good reasons why they might not want to go back. Right this is why we have an entire asylum system. Again, you're going to suggest it's been abused. Fine, but there's a reason why we have an asylum system, which is there might be good reasons why they don't want to go back where they're from. Right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay, great. So you're acting like we're ridiculous. You're like, well, but they don't want to go back where they came from.
But the
And we're
asylum
like,
system,
yeah, they might have a good reason for that.
Well, hold on. The asylum system's been taken to the advantage of the point that it's just
Fine.
Sure.
Again,
okay.
completely different issue. Okay, the asylum system's been taken advantage of. I don't care whether they want to go back to where they're from or not. That doesn't mean we send them to the murder prison or torture prison. Rather.
Okay, well, cool. Then I'll build that bridge with you. The problem is most people aren't going to want to take the bullet and say, all right, if we ship everybody back where they came from, then a lot of these people might die there, and that's better than, I guess, the torture prison. Sure, then let's do that. I agree. I think we need to get out of the asylum treaty. I think the asylum system is broken, and we maybe need to look at how do we redo this so that we can take asylum seekers. But right now, it's not working, and there are people just taking advantage of it en masse, as we see with the Somali stuff in Minnesota right now. I think it's
sure. So I'm not a policy wonk like some people that are here, but correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that at least some parts of that good old proposed bipartisan border bill would have helped some of the asylum process, churning people through the system. But one quick question:
Schumer rejected because they didn't include DACA.
Later, but later than that. But one question I had for you, Gibbs, on the Saudi Arabia stuff. So you seem pretty okay with Saudi Arabia chopping off hands and stuff. What do you have any intuition percentage wise what religion the Somalis are that we're complaining about in Minnesota and Michigan?
I'm going to say Zoroastrianism.
No, that's a wild guess, but no, I mean I'm pretty sure last FBI stats I looked at said Somalia is 99% Sunni Muslim, which is the same sect of Islam as Saudi Arabia. So I think the culturally sensitive option here would just be to allow the Somalis in these states to establish Sharia law. I think it'd be closer to what you want,
Dearborn
right?
Establish Sharia, baby.
They just start cutting off hands for stealing and fraud and stuff, right? Wouldn't that be better?
Yeah.
So so how come El Salvador was able to do it? Have the same culture as Mexico, right?
Wait. Answer the question. Would you be in favor of Somalis developing Sharia law in America?
It's probably bigger than Somalia size-wise.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, I would wager.
Can you answer the question?
Wait, what's your question?
Could you answer the question? Are you in favor of us implementing Sharia law in America so that we cut off hands of those who thieve?
I would prefer a system like El Salvador's over Saudi Arabia's if I have to choose between the two.
But you would choose it over America's, right?
No, I would not choose over America's.
Okay, that's good. That's at least a good concession. I'm okay with that. Okay, I'll stop for a while.
We're breaking bread here.
So
I want to say a couple things.
Go ahead.
But we do need a crackdown.
So the first thing is crime is down since the 90s when it was at a insanely high period or insanely high amount rate.
Yeah.
For almost every kind of crime. It's just crazy how we tolerated that in the 90s. I think the booming economy probably kind of distracted us.
Well, we
from a lot
didn't
of
really
that.
tolerate it, right?
It led to crackdowns, right? It led to mass police crackdowns, and then that rate has since fallen. It hasn't fallen down below, if I'm not mistaken, of like the 50s, like before then. There's still kind of that idyllic, leave it to Beaver home life that a lot of conservatives think about, in which the crime was indeed lower. And I don't like the entire foundation of the argument of, well, it's down since the 90s, so we can ease up on policies regarding it. Well, that's not necessarily the case, right? We could have a lower tolerance for violence than we currently have now, even if it was higher in the 90s. Just because crime was higher in the 90s doesn't mean I think we should even accept the crime rate as it is right now. I think the crime rate is too high in America when you compare it to other developed countries. It's not good.
The problem, Lactoid, is that you're not arguing against anyone in particular.
Well, that's
what we were saying.
Yeah. That's the second thing I was going to say, which is I think Eucharist was right when he said that's not necessarily related to the CCOT question.
Right.
Because the CCOT question isn't necessarily we're talking about sending violent criminals there.
I'm totally
However,
fine to talk about.
There is a line. There is one line. And this is why what's happening with CCOT. Let's level and just be honest. It is part of a fear campaign to get people to stop coming to America.
Yes,
that's the
100%.
idea. Mm-hmm. It is a deterrence. Yeah. And if you really, really care about illegal immigration, you might be more comfortable using deterrence, making an example out of people, which is, I think, quite literally, because I watched the 60 Minutes part, and that was quite literally a statement that one of the person who ran it made, which is that this is meant to make an example out of people. And so I guess what would you say, because I'm still not convinced it's worth it, but what would you say to somebody who says, hey, clearly making an example out of these people has worked because border crossings are at an all-time low.
I don't
have
think
successfully scared people away from illegally immigrating when beforehand there was no deterrence. Yeah, they get deported and then they come right back, right? They're just being sent back to the same country. No real way to stop them from, hopping the border again or coming into the country again. But now they're not because, oh shit, I might not get sent back to Mexico. I might get, or Venezuela or whatever. I might get sent to CCOT. Holy shit.
Yeah, I would say, sorry, I'm a red-blooded American, but I don't think the sacrificing of our civil liberties is worth anything.
Well, hold on.
Ooh.
At some point, hold on. At some point,
fine. It hasn't even gone fucking close.
Gather your thoughts faster. You sound like you're fumbling. Hold on.
I got a little hard off that one, man. I'm not gonna lie.
You're saying it hasn't even come close. I think in El Salvador it was there. I think in El Salvador, look, I'm not free if I walk out and I can't walk down the street without getting harassed and extorted by a gang member.
I totally hear you, but I don't think that
wait, well, hold on. One other thing, before you move on, let me just ask one question.
I would
well, because Selactwood just brought up the deterrence factor, and I think that's something y'all should examine a little more here. So Texas,
that's what we're currently examining.
Right. Texas put up the balls of death in the Rio Grande. Right, and people are like, oh, they're gonna die if they swim, and then the Texas National Guard might shoot at us, and immediately crossings dropped from 1,500 a day to 3 a day in Shelby Park, like 3 a week in Shelby Park.
No one's saying that it wouldn't actually deter immigration. We're saying that it's fucking murdering people.
Let me ask the question, right? And so the question is, what is the greater value, right? Because the argument for that was it's going to stop a lot of sex trafficking. All these women are being trafficked. It's real bad. Like all this thing, it's a greater harm. With the deterrence, it's like we're getting greater good. Do you not put any value in like that happening, like with this kind of scenario?
Okay, obviously, and to answer Lactoid's question, which is isn't there a specific point? I would say that the answer in El Salvador is not to violently create torture prisons, but it's to establish a real democracy in that area. I'm not familiar enough with El Salvador, but I would bet that it's a little bit it's extremely corrupt, that like civil liberties are at an all-time low, and that I don't know. I think
hold on. To answer that, it was corrupt because the gangs control the government. They would literally stop officials from being able to campaign in certain areas.
Yes.
They would harass voters. They would control entire areas. Yes, it is. There was. Mexico is not any, even Mexico, and I would classify that as sort of like a narco state at this point, wasn't as bad. It was horrific there. It was the most violent country in the world, and shit has turned around, right? They have brought back, for most Salvadorians, more freedom than they lived under when they had civil rights under the government.
So I'm so glad you mentioned that how bad it was comparatively, because surely we can all agree that that is not the state that the U.S. is in, right?
Yeah,
and so I think the comparison is very bad. When people want to make that comparison and praise what El Salvador did, again, maybe contextually, maybe some of us could agree, like I don't know that I do, I'm not signing on to it, but maybe some of us could agree, yeah, given how bad that was, literally, as you said, I'm not free if I can't walk out my door without being harassed or murdered by a gang member, maybe that's warranted, right? But very different here. And I want to ask the same question back to Lactoid, Gibbs, whoever else. Similarly, I'm glad you asked that question, because if we're going by tweets and anecdotes, right, we have lots of tweets and anecdotes of people who are either U.S. citizens or who are here legally, who are being harassed and stopped by ICE for relatively arbitrary things like skin color, Spanish speaking, or in one case that popped up today, a guy who was not Hispanic descent at all, who put a Mexican flag on his truck just to see what would happen. So same question, am I really free if I can't walk out of my house without being harassed by ICE? Right? Isn't that an important question that we should be asking?
Before you guys answer, can we, like, I want to add to Eucharist thing in the comparison thing. El Salvador is like smaller than the state of Massachusetts. We need to stop comparing America to countries that are like the size of like states. All right,
if Massachusetts wants to have a torture prison, fine, let them. It's the 10th Amendment, okay?
When we're like, well, look, El Salvador got rid of its thing, and if we just did torture prisons, we'd get that's not how that works. When the country that you're talking about is the size of one, not even the size, smaller than one of our states, it's a little bit ridiculous. Like this comparison to all these
how
other
big
countries,
Somalia?
comparing ourselves to Sweden, you need to compare someone to somewhat of a comparable side if you want to use.
Okay, Ali, but we did do that. Ali, we did do that. We compared El Salvador to Somalia. They're the same size, right?
Yeah, but there's not really an apt comparison of the U.S.
I
to
think
really
there
any
is. Well,
country.
I think you agree with that. But my argument that I think Ali, you kind of skipped over there is when I made that comparison, I said El Salvador and Somalia have similar cultures of like corruption, right? And one of them countries, El Salvador, decided we're going to come in here and we're just going to kill all the people. We're going to put them in the gang. We're going to put them in the prisons. We're going to crack down. Whereas the other one hasn't done that. When y'all arguing about the Sharia versus whatever. And I think Somalia to El Salvador is an apt comparison because they're similar size. Why was one country able to do that and the other one is in the midst of a lot of things?
I think Somalia's like
I don't know what the fuck's going on in East Africa, brother. Right?
I mean, it's still
like, I don't
similar
necessarily
size.
know what's going on in Latin America or South America either, but like.
So
I don't stand to know. You're telling me to like figure out why El Salvador could fix their corruption. Maybe it's the torture prisons, sure, but then like advocate for Somalia to have torture prisons, not us to send them.
No.
So we should send people to torture prisons. Like
maybe Somalia should take a look.
I mean, maybe we should just have a prison state and call it a day.
I agree. There's problems with cross-country comparisons. This is. Like there's a whole bunch of shit that people use cross-country comparisons for, especially when it comes to like gun violence, etc. It's problematic to do that. I'm not disputing that, but I do think it's fair to look at when a country implements a policy, what kind of effects come afterwards, right? Because you're like localizing the actual impact of a single policy. It's possible that like tough on crime policing could have a different effect in the U.S. Although our history also indicates that it appears to have worked. 90s police reforms were pretty tough compared to what they were before, and even pretty tough compared to what they are now.
And it led to riots back then and riots now. So I mean, like, I don't know if the police reform was like great.
There's also the fact. There's also the fact that we ended the stop and frisk policies, and then crime continued to plummet even faster.
So that's tough, right? There's a lot of different reasons why crime fell in the U.S. It is a lot of people credit it to the policing reform. People credit it to the rise of the internet. People credit it to removal of lead. People credit it to abortion. There's there's kind of a perfect confluence of events that all come together that kind of predate about 20 years when it comes to the stuff that has a lag time of 20 years before the crime rate starts dropping again, and then stuff that was also happening directly.
Probably other reasons why you can't compare us to like El Salvador, right?
Yeah, I understand. There's differences, but there are meta-analyses on like the effects of policing, and incarceration is an effective way to reduce the crime rate in an area. Like this,
we have the highest incarceration rate of any country, and yet it's still not a deterrent.
That doesn't mean that incarceration doesn't work in lowering the crime rate. What you just did was a cross-country comparison. You just said, well, we incarcerate the most people. Why isn't our crime rate lower than Sweden?
I'm saying we're doing the thing that you want, which is, hey, we looked at other countries.
Yeah, are you saying ramping it up?
No. Here's what I'm saying. I'm saying what you just did a cross-country comparison when you were criticizing Gibbs for making one earlier. What I'm saying is,
because my comparison makes sense. Because my comparison is saying that we are the biggest, we have the most people, we're supposed to be the most event, we're supposed to be the police state, and yet we still imprison the most people. While you're saying that, well, look, El Salvador fixed its problem by imprisoning its people and having a torture prison. The only reasonable next after is that, well, I guess America should open up its own torture prison. That deterrent seemed to work in El Salvador. If we opened one up here, well, then definitely that'll deter people.
I think that's the extreme version of it, the torture prison. I think that's the extreme version of it. I think that a better American version of it would be like, don't defund the police, maybe build more prisons, etc. Like there's I think a more moderate thing you can do in America because we're not faced. I mean, to Eucharis's point, we're not facing the situation that was happening in El Salvador.
And
if that gets to that point, I probably would be okay with the torture prison at that point, right?
Because people see the police as gangs in America. Like, you understand that.
No, yes, and we've been through this. A lot of that is like misconception and propaganda. Like there's a
people just don't like when cops are driving next to them because they don't want to get a ticket. It's as simple as it's as simple as people don't like cops because they hand out municipal tickets that some people can't afford. Right, it's really, really, really simple things that a lot of people have strong dislikes towards policing, right? And police only when it benefits them do they like it, right? If I get robbed, if I need protection, yeah, sure, I can call the cops. But outside of that, when they're serving and protecting, it just seems to at least some people, right, that they're not really necessarily doing that, right? More people are probably harassed by like the police while they're driving. They feel that than gangs. And so, like, even then, when you're saying in America, like, how do you ramp up the policing? That's what Staxium was going to ask you. Like, what do we do? We already have the most incarcerated people.
No,
That's not enough of a deterrent. What's next?
Well, we don't now that El Salvador did their thing. But I think there is room to credibly argue
incarcerate
that
more people per capita.
Yeah, I think so.
Wait, could I counter this real quick? I'm not to muddy the waters even more so, but the relationship that incarcerations increases when is a deterrent to crime. You're assuming that the relationship is linear. Obviously, there's probably going to be a point at which more incarceration is gonna, on the back end, like it's gonna dip, right? That there's gonna be a. I'm just saying we're at the top, so we don't know what's higher than this. And you're assuming that it follows the same trend, and we can extrapolate.
Hold on. When you say we're at the top, when you say we're at the top,
because we have the most incarcerations.
No, I think we're behind El Salvador now.
Okay, sure, but El Salvador is such a fucking different example.
Well, I know. That's why I think it's interesting to look at El Salvador, because we're talking and look at CICOT, which is the purpose of this discussion, because we're talking about a country that went from like night to day with this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's like holy shit. Like this is like an interesting example of, what happens when a country does X, Y, Z. What happens when a country suspends constitutional rights? The cops can just go and arrest people without any kind of due process and throw them in a cage. What happens? Well, there's innocent people that get arrested. It's horrific. There's like abuses that are happening in these cages. It's horrific, and crime drops 57%. And people are 90% of the population supports it, and they can walk outside now for the first time in years. Like, I agree. Again, I don't think we're at the point that El Salvador was at, but I think what this does do is it makes us think like, okay, what is the role of incapacitation and what is the role of deterrence when it comes to preventing crime? Now,
yeah, but okay, do you not think that there might be a slight other problem here, which is just that, there's a lot of reporting, some scholarship has disputed this, but there's a lot of reporting that a majority of Americans supported use of torture after 9/11. But even if that's not true, let's assume it was, wouldn't it be easier to find in your heart some support for torture if every single person who participated in 9/11 and the planning of it and murdering Americans had tattooed on their chest, I did 9/11? Wouldn't that be a little bit different than whatever situation we're in the U.S., right? So isn't MS-13 literally different in the way that Kristi Noem has used them in her propaganda videos, in the sense that they literally emblazon themselves with the symbol of their terroristic and murderous activities? Isn't that different?
It is different, and this is
okay.
I'm not.
That's his
like criticism. I said at the beginning. Like this is I think where the disconnect is, at least with me in supporting this policy, which is again, if the people going here were like, oh, we confirmed this guy was a gang member, or and he shot 2 people, or we confirmed that this guy shot 2 people, or we confirmed blah blah blah. So now he's going to CICOT. Okay, right. But from what I'm seeing is that it's not actually those people. I think it's like 3% or something based on the last numbers I saw. That are confirmed that it's not a lot.
Very low. Yeah, it was very low based on the reporting that CBS confirmed with NBC. Whoever did 60 Minutes, I never.
Yeah, no, it's CBS.
CBS.
It is very few. But that's why I think that what the purpose of this really is it's to deter people from coming to America illegally. And so the real question here is, and I think that maybe only one person on this panel would say yes to this probably, is illegal immigration so bad that we should be making an example so strongly of people who just illegally immigrate in order to deter more illegal immigrants from coming? Right?
But what's your answer?
Don't invoke Gibbs like that.
Can I ask?
Am I wrong? I don't think.
Can I ask another question about?
But are you
use him to say what you're really thinking?
Okay.
Because I don't think so. This is just one example, and it's what we're debating about. So I don't want to go too far afield. But like, it's not just the deterrent of we're going to send you to the torture prison. There are people who are in the midst of a legal process, who are in a perfectly legal application for green card status, or there are people who are here on work visas and things who are also not necessarily being sent to CICOT, but who are being given expedited deportations. And so I'm just curious how you guys feel about that, right? Where we have these paths of legal status, people on work visas or whatever. What should be the criteria for just sort of stripping these? And is that a deterrent as well, or is this just part of a general we would like fewer brown people here thing, right?
Right, like wouldn't that be a deterrent
for
going through
I think this is the problem. Like this is the problem, right? So you brought up the 2018 or 2020 deal. I think maybe it was 2021. I don't know whatever deal you brought up about the bipartisan border bill, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But they would have funded more immigration judges who would have been able to expedite what we're dealing with right now, the backlog. Wouldn't that be better?
So you brought that up, right? Now, I don't know if you recall, before that, there was another bill, 2016 or 2018, I don't remember, where they pushed the Republicans pushed the same one, but with more stuff, and then the only thing they wouldn't do was dock it, because like third of the Republicans revived it. And then they took it to Schumer, and Schumer said, not without dock it. And then we did
I'm taking your word that this is the accurate retelling. I remember this.
Yeah, vaguely. So my thing is, like, we did that, and then we get to the bipartisan bill, and then the people down here, like, I live by the border. I from day one was like, this border bill is not enough. I'd rather have nothing than what we're going to get here, because it's going to be piecemeal. We're never actually going to get the problem solved. Like, it'd be better, like, to have one big crisis and people come in here to see what's happening and then actually solve it instead of drip feeding us help. And, like, people thought that was a wild take. And then Abbott sent the people to Martha's Vineyard. And all of a sudden now they see this issue. Like, all right. And so I think when we talk about this immigration issue, it's the people that don't deal with it on a daily issue. Like, they're not, like, here being flooded. Like, that y'all don't understand what is happening to the extent. And so when we come in here, we're like, oh, like, this needs to be handled now. That's very appealing to us, because it's like, it's been like a flood, and like what we've been doing is putting a finger in the dike. And like it comes off as harsh, but it's like, this is a real problem that needs to be fixed today, not tomorrow.
So let me draw one quick comparison, then I'll shut up for a little bit. I'm sorry, I've been talking too much. But another quick comparison is the same thing that happens in developed democracies after some focusing event like a terrorist attack that spikes support for torturous activities, which I think most of us on here, I don't know how you guys, Lactoid and Gibbs, feel about torture in the abstract, but most of us are like, torture bad, right? But so same thing happens, right? In the wake of some big event, we're like, screw the boundaries, screw the whatever. Like, it needs to be dealt with now. And so that might be something that we should think about. I'm just curious also, Gibbs, I'll give you forewarning. I'm trying to trap you. How would you feel about somebody having their work visa stripped when it was found that they were being paid off by a foreign government to propagandize in the United States? They're not a U.S. citizen. They're here on a work visa, and then the Trump administration helps them get their work visa back immediately. How would you feel about that?
I mean, I guess depends on if up my side.
Depends on if it's a person.
It depends on if it's a Russian or not, Russian propaganda or not.
Is it the Tates or who?
Lauren Chen's getting her work visa back, apparently, and specifically thank the Trump administration. So I just sent that to you. But I feel like there might be a bit of a double standard on the MAGA side. I don't know.
Well,
okay, I'm done for a while. Sorry.
I don't know who Lauren Chen is, but
Tenet Media,
Russian agent.
payoffs.
She's a Russian agent.
Okay. So,
hey, listen, if somebody wants to pay me some money.
Yeah,
you can't pin Gibbs down, Eucharist. You thought you had him.
Yeah. So lots of things.
We'll call him a lobbyist.
He eats bullets for breakfast. Okay.
I do want to get my friend Doobie back in here. I want more of his thoughts, his insights. But quickly on this this gang thing. So El Salvador dealt with a crushing civil war for decades. It was ugly. And that started off as a El Salvador government backed by the United States, right, versus a militia, right, of these coup attempters who were left wing and backed by the USSR. And there was a big fight. It didn't end, as far as I can tell, until the USSR collapsed. But this was over the span of almost 2 decades, I think. And it left the country shattered, and with, the government having a tenuous hold on the nation. Now, into that, right, came a group of immigrants, right? So there were individuals who were from the United States, right, who had been living in the United States, who were sent back to El Salvador. So in the United States, in our prisons, we had these individuals. They became MS-13. They became Barrio 18 or 18th Street. Right? Those were prison gangs made in the United States. We shipped them back to El Salvador. I guess some of them were originally from there, right? So they're re-immigrating into El Salvador. We sent them into a country that, again, just hanging on by a thread, especially in certain areas, right? Tons of poverty. We sent these individuals there. they grew in power. These small gangs that were in our prisons now grew in power. They had ample space to do so, and they become the terrorists that they are now. Decades, like 2 more decades, go by. Violence spikes. El Salvador, called the murder capital of the world. And like it's like honestly just horrible. Like, I think Electro did a really good job of explaining just like how brutal it was. Really fucking scary. And then in response to that, there are multiple crackdowns. I believe ones before Bukele, right? Like Bukele is using a power, from my understanding. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But he's using a power that was given to the government to incarcerate people just for looking like a gang member, right? Like
they have voted to renew it. I think 46 or 47 times. Like it's up to the parliament, and they keep voting to renew the power.
Yeah. So then into that, the steps in Bukele. And then in 2022, he does like the big crackdown. And he like gathers all these individuals up, and he's just like sending them out, right? Like busloads of these guys into CCOT, right? And even before like Trump got involved, like we saw like the famous videos, right, of them like running them through CCOT and then having them all like bent down in a crouching position, right, as a show of power, of the show of strength. That's the situation that we stepped into with this, right? Keep in mind, though, that the entire time this crackdown was happening, there have been complaints within El Salvador. I think our friend Lacto is correct in saying that overall, like the opinion polls are just like very clear as to how the public feels about this. However, right, we know there are plenty of individuals who were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. A police officer said, that guy's a criminal. He's got a tattoo, or maybe even not, whatever, and he's gone. There's no appeal. Gone. Disappeared. So that's the situation that we're walking into. And then that Trump decides, I'm going to send these prisoners, our prisoners, over into CCOT. Now, I want to remember the conversations we had there, and I won't take too much more time. I want like us to remember the conversations we had previously, right? We were talking about how these people were definitely gang members. The national conversation, they were definitely gang members that they just had to go, right? Very, very super terrorist style conversation, right? If you remember what happened with Guantanamo Bay, where Obama tried to close Guantanamo Bay and send the prisoners into like various American prisons, right? Who were told they were like super terrorists and they might break out and like destroy America, right? He's putting America in danger. This is kind of the conversation. Well, we can't house them here, so we got to send them there. And also, once they go there, there's nothing we can do. In fact, they're outside of our control. There's no way to bring them back. Some of them have been brought back. Some of them are back in U.S. territory, right? Let's understand what the Trump administration did here. They like sent these people out without due process. We saw again identifying people by tattoos, even though what was it, Tren de Agua, I believe is the one who doesn't use tattoos, right? They were saying these are guys at Tren de Agua, but they don't use tattoos as a matter of course, right, to identify themselves like MS-13 does. But just some officers, some ICE official says that they are a part of the gang, off they go. We did that also here in the United States, right? So like when I can't say what the answer was for El Salvador. I'm not going to tell them like what the answer was because
you're missing one
God,
part.
It was brutal.
If I can, you're missing one part. It was about 200 something Venezuelans that we sent over to CCOT. They're not in CCOT anymore. We actually negotiated with the Venezuelans, traded them to Venezuela to release U.S. prisoners. So we that was
after a very protracted legal battle and after paying El Salvador lots of money to take them, right? So
I just my only point. So to wrap up very quickly, right? It's just that what's the lesson here? Like well, it's hard for me to tell El Salvador what to have done when like they became the murder capital of the world. Like, what is the proper response, right? Like, do we say that like we should eliminate civil liberties? Is that what we want? This is all we want in the United States, to just do away with that. Leave it up to some officer. I thought of conservatives, they sometimes pretend to be skeptical of police power, right? Do we want to say that these random police officers can just simply decide that this person is guilty and then we ship them off the plane before a judge can even weigh in on it? Is that what we want? Right? And then afterwards, right? Like, imagine if a Democrat had done exactly that. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So no, I reject the Trump's use of this president, right? I reject the idea that this is our only option. I reject that these people were so dangerous that they had to be sent off. Most of them weren't. I think they weren't guilty of anything, but that's even itself a separate story. And I think that when we start using these tactics, right, or embracing these tactics abroad, we import them here, and that makes life dangerous for all of us. Done.
Yeah. So on the haven't done anything thing, I will accept that, like, Gibbs and Lactoid and myself would like to see reforms to the way the asylum system is being handled, but at least one of the people in the 60 Minutes thing was someone who was going through the perfectly legal process of asylum, waited his turn in line, went through the proper checkpoint, then arrived in the U.S., sat for his interview, and then was just thrown in jail. So on the question of, like, was he illegally here or not, it doesn't seem that he was, like, at least as far as it was reported and fact checked in that story. But I'll say the most conservative thing I'll say tonight, Prime, on the like why. So Gibbs has his stories from the border. I'm nowhere close to the border, but if I could, like, give, like, one example of why people I think might be skeptical of, say, like, local police and might be inviting of ICE or DHS to come in general in these situations. There was a really funny story this past year where in my town there had been reports from, so I'm in Tennessee. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation had released a report that there had been I don't think it was MS-13. I think it was another Venezuelan gang, or it was a Venezuelan gang, I think, that there was a TBI report that this gang was active in Tennessee and people should be on the lookout for certain signs of their gang activity. Then the police chief in my town or my city released a public report that said, we have no knowledge of this stuff that the TBI just released. We have no evidence that they're operating in our city. Like, don't worry about this stuff, guys. And then a week after this police chief's report, there was a huge bust at a motel in my city where they arrested like 10 people associated with this gang who had been trafficking women for prostitution at this motel. And I just looked at these like 3 news reports in a row, and I was like, okay, I'm not a conspiratorial person, but if I was, I could look at these 3 news articles and I could see why somebody would come away from this with a fundamental distrust of the institutional authority of my city and say, these people are lying to me, and I would prefer that ICE or somebody show up and deal with this instead of them just lying to my face. I get that. I totally get that impulse. But again, to what I said to Gibbs earlier, even that impulse I don't think is a good justification for the revocation of civil liberties and everything else.
I mean, but you that's like an anecdotal example, but so y'all remember the Aurora, Colorado thing with Trump, right? Well, I was really upset that like he picked Aurora. I wish he had picked San Antonio specifically, because literally we had the exact same situation you described. Then there was an apartment complex that like basically got taken over, and it cost 200 people their homes. They basically had to all move out, and these are people like a low income side of town, basically because they ended up getting the place condemned, and then the police had to force them to come in. I think they got like 18 people arrested, right, from Trinidad. And after we had just been told this isn't happening anywhere, and it's like I can like look at other places, and it's the exact same thing. They take over like hotels and housing projects in these areas, and they just prey on the community. And like these are people that are coming in literally with like whatever. I'm just like, Trump, I wish you had picked like an actual example. And then I guess turns out I don't know if Aurora ended up being exactly what you described, but it sounds identical. And so yeah, like when I'm sitting here seeing this on a like weekly or other weekly basis, like yeah, it's a real problem here. And I just like something needs to happen now. Like
but okay, I do want to let in Doobie in for a second, but just like in terms of the what happened in Colorado, like the situation is mixed, right? So there was gang activity there. That absolutely was the case, right? But like we also know that like the main reason why like the cops were called in, and the main reason why that there were so many problems at those properties was because like there was a slumlord running it, I believe from fucking Florida. And like these places have been dilapidated, and they wanted to get those tenants out. and like they had been like like identified as a slumlord, right? And they were like there was like litigation happening. It was a whole messy situation there, and so it's and there was a law firm involved, and I think that they wanted to push the story of a gang takeover because it would benefit them and whatever litigation was happening. A very messy, ugly situation there. So like let's not draw too many lessons from that, but not telling that you're wrong, Gibbs, that like there's like lots of gang activity that's ignored. Again, I'm not trying to contradict you there. It's just that Aurora was just crazy.
Well, that's what I was saying. I wish he'd picked like San Antonio, right, instead, because like the situation you described was happening. It's happening here, but it's like he picked one that was like, oh, he picked Aurora because it was like hot button news at the time before like the facts came out, and it ended up being a messy kind of like whatever. I'm like, well, if you just picked here, then nobody could be like, that's crazy talk, that's whatever. When it's like, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I wish he picked a different example, like because what he described is happening. It's just, I don't think it was happening in Aurora, if I recall correctly.
So at some point I want to move on to the other part of this story about like the U.S.'s general role in torture, because I think that's a part's important. I have some thoughts on that as well. But before then, GB, like, what are your thoughts on in terms of like response to gang activity, right? Like gangs exist here in the United States, right? Many of them created from our prisons, but still they exist and they terrorize people, and some of them may be immigrant affiliated. Well, what should our response be? Isn't a fair response to ship them out? If again, let's assume we're correctly identifying them as gang members. Isn't it a fair response? Let's just get these people out of us. And what difference does it make to us where they end up?
So if they're illegal immigrants, I'm not opposed to deporting them if they're involved with gangs, obviously. But yeah, I don't think this seems like unnecessarily cruel. It seems like if they're from Mexico, for example, we should work with Mexico to send them back to Mexico, right? I don't think we need to go the extra step of sending them to the torture prison. Right? If they're from Venezuela, I guess we can send them to the torture prison, right? We send them there, and if they want to put them in the prison, that's on them, right? But this seems like that I hate to agree with Nick Fuentes, okay? But I feel like a lot of what Trump has been doing recently, a lot of what MAGA quote unquote has been doing recently is like performative cruelty, right? It's like
you didn't have to agree to Fuentes there. There's plenty of people saying that.
I saw that Fuentes clip too. Yeah.
Yeah. Or there's like this vice signal, right? It's like fuck it, I'm just gonna do the worst thing possible just because, right? Because I'm that base or whatever the fuck. Like I think it's gross. I think it's a bad habit that the Republican Party needs to wean itself off of. And I think they do it because at the core there's Trump is a massive disappointment. So he does these things to make headlines, to draw attention. It's like red meat, like unironically red meat to the base, right? And I think that we should stop enabling that. But in terms of like gangs within the United States, I think that I mean that I am for much more draconian laws and punishments for these people, for drug dealers, gang members, et cetera, right? Murderers, all these people. But these are, if they're Americans, it's an American problem. I don't think we should be sending them to other places. I think that there are a lot of things we currently do to enable the existence of these gangs and ensure that they continue to exist. And I think we need to start doing those things.
So hold on, I want to jump one second, just like one quick thing, because we talk about how other countries. Let's put El Salvador just to the side, just for a second, right? But we talk about how other countries are so badly run, right? There's massive corruption, and they can't actually control their criminals. Mexico is famous for this, right? Like we've seen like people like literally tunnel out multiple times out of like a Mexican jail. Crazy, right? And like they're literally afraid of being sent to an American jail because that doesn't happen here. Right? Like Mexican drug lords, they want to be like jailed in Mexico, not in the United States. So America is really good at imprisoning people. We kind of mastered that art. Why send people to other countries any which way? Right? Like here's something else that happens. Like when
I have the answer.
not, and I'm going to go straight to you. So we have people who aren't gang members, right? We send them out to whatever country, and we know, right, there's a conservative complaint that they come right back, right? Okay, on that note, right, on that wavelength, if we can't rely on other countries to properly punish them, control them, criminals, actual criminals, dangerous individuals, right? Then why wouldn't we want to actually just jail them in professionally run, right, very well funded American jails?
I'd support so those people specifically. I'd support just killing them, actually, just executing them. So if we deport you and you come back and you get right back into gang activity and fucking with our people, then yeah, just fuck you, right? I don't see any reason to show these people mercy.
I like challenge Doobie on something.
Whichever wants to go.
You're in favor of you've said it multiple times. You're in favor of the blowing up the ships. They're bringing the drugs over to America,
it depends. So the specific ones, what Trump is doing, I'm iffy on it because I don't trust Trump at all. I don't trust that these are actually drug smuggling ships because Trump is a liar. His administration is full of incompetent people. So I don't really trust that. But if it were the case that these were drug smugglers, right, and if Trump wanted to. Not Trump. Fuck Trump. If some other president was in office that I could semi-trust, and he decided to work with Mexico to take out the cartels or any of these other South American countries to start going after the cartels militarily, I would absolutely support this. I think we don't treat that problem seriously enough.
And that would fit in. I guess that would be pretty consistent with your position of if we find out they're gang members, we can kill them, but if not, then don't, kind of thing.
Well, with the gang, so if they're like illegal immigrant gang members, right, and we deport them, and then they come back and they go right back into illegal activity, yeah, I don't really see any reason to show them any mercy.
Did you want to say something, Gibbs?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the answer to your question is because capitalism, right? And we have private prisons that are good at holding people in because they competed and we figured out which ones are really good at keeping people in jail. So whenever we have a chance to get rid of some people on the cheap, we're just being capitalistic. El Salvador is running these prisons cheap and doesn't look like anybody's getting out. So this is just like testing the market.
I mean, okay.
He's not wrong.
That's the truth.
Right?
I just
telling
you.
I think
the real
he's
truth.
saying it's too expensive to keep. He's saying it'd be too expensive to keep all the criminals, right? Might as well just fucking deport them. And if we can't deport them to a place that we have like some allyship and it's cheaper, I mean, fuck it, why not?
Yeah,
it's
and then then for the big special big bad guys, we keep them, locked up here. Then like the Noriegas or something.
Maintain.
Yeah, but like if it's one guy,
it is costly.
The thousands of like middle management lower, nah, ship them out to El Salvador. Let them handle it for us. They'll do it for pennies on the dollar.
Well, I think the other reason, I think there's two other reasons. I mean, the cost might be a factor. I think the one reason, the obvious reason too, is that in American prisons they're going to have a lot more protections than they would in El Salvador, obviously, since the Constitution's suspended there.
Why do you say that with such a grin, though? You get so happy when you have less protections.
It's an acknowledging. I'm acknowledging the reason why it's happening. Yes, that is one of the reasons why it's happening. I think another one could also be if we send them to El Salvador, we can count that as a deportation. And I think one of the criticisms that Trump has been getting and why there's so much performance around CCOD and the vibe videos that you see on the White House Twitter is because the numbers really aren't matching up to the narrative. This administration's deported far less people than Obama did. Obama was far more efficient at deporting people. Now, in all due fairness, Obama ran into a lot fewer legal hurdles. There was a lot fewer judges that were stopping him. Universal injunctions were not used against Obama the same way they were being used against Trump. I mean, that universal injunctions were really kind of a pretty recent phenomenon. But that being said, there's kind of this perception of, we don't want to hear excuses. We want results. And if your numbers aren't even matching up with Obama, I mean, what does that say about you? I think that's also why they were targeting the work sites a lot as well, because they're trying to boost up the numbers. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably a significant factor as well. You want to get those numbers up to look good.
I like what you're saying there in terms of boosting this. I think that's a very good, well said point. But also, goes to the point that the other side have been saying is that these deportations have been bullshit, right? Like they were sold to the American, well, part of the American electorate as, oh, we're just going after the quote unquote criminals, the dangerous ones, right? But very quickly, they found out there weren't many of those individuals. They just weren't, right? Here's a proof. Like we don't see shootouts with ICE. We don't see that, right? We don't see like massive like
they shot up like
yeah. We don't see.
We've seen the saw
shot up. Shootout.
No. We saw ICE claim were shot at, right? They were claimed they were shot out, and then afterwards we discovered they're absolutely lying about that. Like that's
a couple illegal immigrants literally die because of ICE facility was shot at.
No. I think we're premising when they go out to get these people at their homes or at their workplaces, there's not like a massive gunfight because these are not criminals, right? These are not like gang members who are like violent and dangerous.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, and that's the two-step that they're doing. Oh, but at first we're sold to the American public, the general American public, that these are dangerous gang members, right? Like with the image of MS-13, right? Like burned into our retinas, right? That's what we're sold that we're going afterwards, and then afterwards. They're criminals and they cross the border.
This is what they do.
But it's twofold. It's twofold. That's what we actually meant.
It's twofold.
We knew you were all lying about this.
No, it's a twofold thing, right? So, like, the first, this is kind of where your misconception, right? It's like, oh, this guy got here. He's no longer a criminal. All he wanted to do, like, it was just cross the border and work. Okay, that sounds good on paper, but that's not what happens. What happens is these guys will cross the border and they'll owe the cartel, the coyote, something. They'll owe him either like money for an extended period of time that they have to pay him while he's here, or for like a certain amount of years, or they'll be like, when we call you, you answer and you do something. So it might be like 5 years, they never hear him. They call him up and then they like unlock the door at a hotel when they need him to go in there and kill somebody, right? And then they clean up after them. It's like, it's like they'll do shit like that. So it's like, yeah, these guys might be fine. Or they might be funding the cartel back home because they're sitting here paying them a dividend after they got here. And you're like, oh, don't deport them, even because they're not committing any crimes themselves. I'm like, no, they're still funding these evil people, right? They're still a part of the system. And then we're seeing, right, we're turning around, we're seeing construction, for example, was initially hit hard by this illegal immigration crackdown, right? Because they get people from work, right? Well, guess what? I've in turn seen my friends that work in construction, their wages have gone way up because they got more work than ever because there's suddenly less people, which is exactly what Trump promised to a lot of these people, which is, I'm going to get jobs. If we get rid of a lot of these illegal people working, suddenly your wage is going to go up because you're going to be more in demand and they're going to be hiring more of you, which is exactly what's happening.
Yeah, the other win, and I think this, to add on to this, the other win I think that just cannot be ignored too is, however disappointing Trump's results are when it comes to the numbers of deportations, border crossings are astronomically down. Like he has won on that promise. That is undeniable at this point. Even Bernie Sanders has admitted that. So the policies are working to some degree. Yeah, in terms of that specific result.
Right, but the question isn't whether or not it's worked. The question is, are the trade-offs worth it?
Right. But that's fair. The only reason I add that is because I think it's easy to get caught up in, nothing he can do is right. Like,
Sure.
And I felt like I was maybe playing that into that a little bit when I was saying, yeah, he's not even deporting as many people as Obama. And that's true. But when you look at border crossings, right, you see a massive reversal as to what was happening prior. And so maybe his numbers on deportations
Gibbs, do you see a massive reversal?
On the border crossings, this is just...
No, I'm asking Gibbs specifically. I'm asking Gibbs specifically.
The crossings are way down. And then the other thing that's way down is like fencing damages to ranchers, like because these guys will go to avoid the checkpoints, so they'll drive through like ranches and dirt roads and stuff and destroy fences. And that's way down, like in the recent years. I think I want to point one thing out. Obama deported many people, but like the border was more porous then. So it's like if you have a flood coming in and you're just deporting people willy-nilly, but you're not stopping the real problem, what's better? Stopping the people from coming and then deporting less people, like at slower pace and get rid of them? Or is like, what's more effective? I would argue that if you stop the flow at whatever pace you're going, eventually you'll like get the backlog out. But if you have a just continuous flow, you can deport like millions and millions, and it won't matter if millions and millions more are coming.
So
Could be true.
I guess I want to move on to I do want to at some point like really like dig into this immigration point, but like that's like not the main focus of this topic, right? So I want to talk about torture. Our friend Eucharist within his opening talked about like, you know, with the United States, like there is a clear difference between like before 9/11 and after 9/11 in terms of U.S. behavior. I actually reject that idea. The U.S. has been torturing for a long time, right? Like, when you look at past examples, there was like Vietnam. The U.S. had a torture program against the Vietnamese, and it was awful. It was like a disgusting thing that we were doing. There was also MK Ultra, right? The U.S. Was experimenting and torturing individuals domestically, right? The CIA was doing that. But then also there was the School of the Americas, right? So this is the program we're running to train operatives who went out into Latin America to spread freedom. They did that by like, you know, capturing like a group of villagers who were suspected of communist leanings, right? And then torturing and raping and murdering them and dumping them in shallow graves, right? They learned that from CIA operatives who sometimes were literally there at the time, literally part of going on, literally
on
instructing them on torture tactics while they're there. And within that, like America had the CIA had a manual. I believe it was the CIA. I can look that up again. CIA had a manual, a field manual on how to get information out of resistant sources. Right? It was torture. America has been torturing for decades, for a very long time, and we can go back. We can go further back. I mean, America literally tortured slaves. Like it had like there was industrial policy of torturing slaves right into submission.
We wouldn't do that to slaves, right? Would we?
Exactly right. Yeah. So like we called like a form of that buck breaking. That's the thing that we did, right? They literally like viciously tortured these individuals who thought better of themselves, as if they had human rights. That's what America's always done.
So that's a Tariq Nasheed myth. Got to be careful with that one.
Oh, okay, well, we're going to discuss that. But in any case, there have been all kinds of torture. We'll go into.
I'm not saying there wasn't torture. I'm just saying buck breaking
specific one. If there's something that I don't know, fair.
Well, that's pushed by Tariq Nasheed, who is like a black nationalist. He's all over Twitter.
Let me try to defend my point, and then you guys can tear me apart. I agree with everything you said, mostly. The like CIA involvement in some of these either Central and South American trainings or overseas trainings is, call it disputed, but I'm perfectly fine accepting it. There's a series of manuals produced by various defense or intelligence agencies called the torture manuals altogether that I agree exist. Vietnam, prominent examples of this. Where I would distinguish, I guess, is in Vietnam, right, for example, one of the reasons we know about it is because there was sort of high-profile criticism of it. It was not officially authorized, and it sort of didn't spread beyond the sort of call it targeted uses. And when I use these terms, it's going to sound justificatory, and I don't mean it in that way. I think it's all bad, right? I don't think it, like, it's all sort of scalar on all of its bad. What we see in post 9/11 is sort of we have legal authorization for it in combination of AUMFs and Patriot Act and everything else, how we treat enemy combatants, and especially what we see in court cases after 9/11, how we treat people who are being tortured offshore. Like if you're not in U.S. territory and you're being tortured by especially the CIA, the court basically said, well, you know, the Constitution, right? So they're after 9/11 comes this sort of systematization of it, sort of expansion of it, and sort of legal thumbs up to it that I don't think existed pre that. I think you're right to say, like, oh yeah, as an institution we had slavery that in many cases legally justified torture. Okay, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole. We'll have a whole other pre Civil War conversation sometime. There are more examples in the South of legal cases favoring slaves than people like to admit sometimes. Again, this sounds justificatory. It's not. It's all bad, right? So this is all scales of bad. So that's what I was trying to distinguish. Is I think pre 9/11 we have a U.S. who does sometimes engage in torture, does so in a less systematic, less legally justified, less expansive international way. That's what I would call it.
When you say sometimes, I think is going to be the like a ratio to
yeah. I think we did it way less before 9/11 than we did after. Yeah, I think so. Like by numbers of people we tortured, by frequency, by wars, I think way less. Yeah.
So okay, so I'm reading from an article. The Phoenix program was crafted by the CIA as an intelligence ladder and channel in Vietnam in 1967. It was a culmination of all counterinsurgency operations of the country, such as police, military intelligence, and other CIA operations in the region. I'm skipping over a bit for brevity's sake. But it says one arm of the Phoenix program of the Office of Public Safety, or OPS, was a program to help train allied police forces around the world that was created in 1962. It quickly became a key tool in disseminating CIA torture techniques and stopping communism worldwide. The OPS would take trainees from Latin America, Vietnam, and other nations to a clandestine training center in Washington, D.C., where they were taught torture techniques by U.S. officials. In the case of Vietnam, trainees were trained under, quote unquote, stringent wartime measures designed to assist in defeating the enemy, end quote. In 1971, a South Vietnamese trainee wrote in his thesis, last thing, despite the fact that brutal interrogation is strongly criticized by moralists, it's important must not be denied if we want to have order and security in daily life, right? A pro-torture narrative. So even in Vietnam, it was systematized. It wasn't just like isolated individuals. The CIA actively backed the torture program there.
I'll let other people intervene really quickly, though. I'll just say, like, one thing you'll find if you dig into, I can send in the chat, Human Rights Watch, which we've talked about, 60 Minutes talked about, Human Rights Watch report from 2011. One of the things you'll find in reports about the Bush era, Iraq War era torture is the word unprecedented will come up a lot, and they mean that, I think, empirically. Like, as far as the best records we have available, which by 2011 we had good records on the Phoenix program and things like this, like, it is just qualitatively different from previous torture programs. And so, yeah, in saying that, I'm not going to come in and be like, oh, well, hold on. When we were doing these Phoenix tortures in Vietnam, and that was fine because, like, no, that's not my point. My point is just I think we, in scale, legal justification and application was quite different. But fair enough. Okay, other people talk.
I think. I don't know the exact. I guess I don't know the exact ratios of like percentage of torture that the U.S. did in any given decade in American history. I think it's fair to say that following 9/11, I mean, the Patriot Act certainly allowed more avenues, or allowed some avenues that didn't exist prior to do this, and torture likely happened because of these specific legal pathways. I think that's fair to say. But this is, I think, where we might strongly disagree, which is, even you can show me torture, you can show me wrong things that a country does. I mean, there's plenty of it, and we can even do country comparisons. I think in this case, like, oh, this country does X, Y, Z. This government's really bad compared to our country. I don't see how this necessarily deprives us of our moral authority. Every great power, every country, and especially any kind of country with the amount of responsibilities that the U.S. has, is going to do this shit, and historically has always done this shit. Oftentimes in much larger degree than we have, in terms of America. So if this is just like a truism that it will happen, countries will act in their self-interest and will do horrific shit. But we look at the U.S. and say, well, for all the countries that do horrific shit, the U.S. seems to like be pretty good in comparison. right? We do try to, compare to other countries, minimize civilian casualties as much as possible. Even though we don't perhaps get it right in the types of warfare that we're engaging with, we do, hold ourselves domestically for the most part to like a pretty strict sense of like constitutional rights that prisoners have, with exceptions, Guantanamo Bay that I brought up earlier. So in CCOT, with what's happening in CCOT to some degree, I think much less so than Guantanamo Bay, but still to some degree as well. But does that mean that we are comparable in any degree to what? I mean, what country would you put us with? China? North Korea? Like, I mean, Jesus.
Oh, hold on. That's not how I want. I don't want to hear what Hunter's thoughts on this.
I'll throw. I largely agree with Lactoid. I know everyone's surprised here. I think I would posit a question instead. I think sorry, I don't know everyone's names here. The guy with the orange-ish background. Yeah, what's your name? Ali. Sorry, Ali. Yeah. You said before that like America has always been the bad guy, or is now the bad guy. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I think you'll agree with this. Been the bad guy. Who is the good guy? Because I'm looking around on a global scale, and I can maybe look at countries that haven't really done much, but they're such small players that I don't know if that it's fair to draw a comparison to. I don't know who the gold standard is when it comes to countries, if not America.
Gold standard for what?
Well, for moral superiority, right? That's what we're talking about. Because I'm confused when we're talking like.
So I guess the thing, but like what everyone seems to be saying is that like we're just like the least worst. Right?
Yeah,
because,
maybe.
Like
yeah,
of the big players we're the least worst, and so I mean like, yeah. So like then why has it like why is it portrayed as that like that's not like a moral superiority then, right?
Yeah,
just admit just admit that you play the game. And you seem to need to play less.
The least worst.
If I'm speeding, if I'm going 10 over, and then I'm speeding, I'm going 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, and then somebody just zooms past me going like 50 over. I mean that person is worse. That person is more flagrantly breaking the law than me.
No.
Wait. As a point, I do want to say that it's fair to criticize where we get wrong, and I'm all for criticisms of America. I criticize America. I think we should be held to a higher standard than where we are right now.
But your question was like you kind of frame of constitutional standard. That's kind of what like you framed it as. I'm saying is like in terms of what Prime's question is in terms of torture in other places to other people, right? Where do we stand? And like, yeah, I would say that like there's probably a lot of hidden torture that you can't just uncover on a Google lookup, right? There's gonna be a lot of classified CIA shit that you're not going to see, and then like there's gonna be like minute like systematic shit, like when you talk about like the CIA pumping cocaine into fucking California to fund a war, right? And then that sparks a crack epidemic. Right, like I mean, do you see that as like a torture of a people in mass? Right, like you destabilized entire groups of people, and then you jailed them. Then we hit them with a war on drugs. Right, so like not only are we like
into like
trapping
third,
and
fourth
jailing
level
people.
Consequences.
Hold on. I actually
you're saying like, oh, we got to fund the Contras and then at least cocaine in areas and then we criminalize.
Let me try first. I actually,
this is very different than like the government.
Where were they getting all the coke?
It
would be where are they getting all the coke, and it would be from this CIA.
No one's not critical of that though. And like, I hear what you're saying. Well, actually, maybe Gibbs isn't. Gibbs is like, yeah, fuck those.
What? So I'm saying like if we just look at torture as like, okay, we put this person, we waterboarded them. Yeah, sure. If we're just gonna sit here and compare ourselves to like, once again, the communism in China. I mean, their propaganda seems to be working really well right now. Their people seem to be doing, quote unquote, fine. Right.
Well,
obviously,
according to their propaganda, they don't allow the plywood to be torn down like we do.
So forth. I'm just saying, if we're going to talk comparisons, who's the bad guy? If we're going to talk about the big bad wolves, right? I mean, sure, maybe we're maybe bronze, right? But like, we're doing a lot of caping to say that we're bronze, and then like saying that being bronze is like means anything in the world.
Let's go to Gibbs, and I do want to hear from Doobie because he was trying to jump in.
I like, to an extent, actually agree with Prime and Ali here on this. Like, feel like we needed. It's what did you say earlier? It's a mask off era. Yeah, you're goddamn right. It's about the time. It's time to take the mask off and stop pretending that we're not going to fuck your ass up. We have a rule set for war. We do these wars. We got rules. Until, guess what? It's going to cost us 1 million troops to take your country over, so we're just going to nuke you. Like, I mean, listen, it's every time there's been a thing, oh, we're not going to beat these guys traditionally, we're going to pull some bullshit out. I guess that's what Ollie's talking about, where it's like, we're the nicest of the bad guys. I feel like maybe we should just be like, okay, listen, we're not going to torture our citizens, so it's better if you surrender and become part of us. And then, at some point, we won't torture you no more. Now, if you're on the other team, rules are off. Like, I mean, just like World War II. We were the good guys, World War II.
We still won a world war.
Yeah.
And you think that worked out well?
I mean,
we did fucked up shit in World War II, but we were still better than,
we would take soldiers and shoot them. But we weren't, I guess it's better than us shoving bamboo shoots up their ass before we shoot them. Pros and cons.
We also dropped 2 nukes on civilians.
We dropped 2 nukes, and the fire bombings are worse than the nukes.
Who cares?
That was in order to compel a country to make peace.
Hold on. Do you know, we invented...
Yes.
So I'll fight you.
The United States invented daytime carpet bomb. We literally just went in. We invented this. We're not like that is the most like crazed, wild, fucked up. 3 countries in the world still allow cluster bombs. It's the United States, Israel, North Korea. Crazy. We're the only ones. You know why? Because we got the B-52s, and we're just gonna cluster bomb the fuck out of you if you like literally push us to our limit. Like we need to stop pretending that's not who we are. Like literally Japan, right? What is their image of us? We need to be the American Japan thinks we are. Every anime they got an American's got a big old gun, American flags, Patriot coming in, whooping ass. We're literally the world's arms dealers, and we're acting like, hey, we're all these good guys. We're the #1 arms dealer worldwide. Like I've never heard anybody go, "Hey, arms dealers they're great, the great guy." Except for Russia, we traded Brittany Griner to her. They loved him. So I mean, I guess like once again, if that's what we're comparing each other to, hey, then we are the worst people. Like I don't know why we're pretending we're not. Like we need to embrace this shit.
Because we're not.
That's what I was saying in my opening is that
I know.
I mean, to this point, also Eucharist, Saxium, and Lactoid. It was like you tried to put this cape on and like be like, well, listen, I mean, for as much bad as we do, we've also done good, and all the bad we did also
we're like honest
pieces
of
right?
shit.
I'm not saying all this stuff wasn't that bad.
There was also some good mixed in with that bad. It's still bad, right? It's still bad, but there was some, there was good, and hey, like that one specific buck breaking, that one wasn't necessarily true, but the other methods, those are probably valid. It's like there's a lot of
who are the bad guys in World War II?
That's a good question.
That time it would be Germany, right?
Wait, why is it Germany? We did terrible things.
They were doing the
firebombed Dresden. We killed.
Do you remember the genocide of the Jewish people?
They did something worse. Yes.
Yeah, but
what about the Russians though? Didn't the Russians do something that same time?
Like they did.
Wait, hold on. Gibbs, shut the fuck up. Ollie and Lactoid, continue.
Yeah,
so the Russians did something bad too.
At this point in time,
shut the fuck up, Gibbs.
What about when we weren't in World War II and when we were doing fucked up shit? Like, is that also good?
I'm saying the logic of World War II it was just implicitly true to you that we all recognize. The logic there is what we should apply.
All right, we did the Iraq War. At that point in time, we were the bad guys, right?
Hold up. We should
all our Middle Eastern intervention. We're the bad guys right now, right?
I think Iraq
Who else
was
is
a
doing
bad...
interventions across the world.
Hey, listen. Please.
Is Russia the bad guy right now?
Oh my God.
Lactoid?
I think Iraq. I'm going to address these examples. I think Iraq was a bad idea. I would not call the Iraqi government at the time the good guys in that conflict. I think that Saddam Hussein was not a good guy, and historically, that government was run much worse than the U.S. was, for many different reasons. I think that we fucked up majorly with how we ran that operation, and we basically handed that country over to Iran. But in terms of if we're just looking at this purely, if we're looking, as we did with Germany, right? We had to get rid of the dictator. We had to get rid of
Germany was the bad guy at this time, and I don't think.
I understand, but you're saying
America is the good guy in the Iraq War.
And you're saying that in World War II it was so obvious to you
we're the good
that
guys
we were the good guys, and Germany
too.
was the bad guys. But what I'm saying is that when you take this little sliver of time and then you start looking at the actions of countries over a longer period of time, you begin to realize like we are as a country pretty good as far as great powers go compared to other countries and compared to what we could be. Like, we could have the level of censorship that China has, where we don't talk about the bad shit that we do. We don't talk about the overt concentration camps where we are, literally genociding an ethnic group in Western China. We could do that, but we don't, because we can't, because we hold ourselves to certain rules that great powers historically have not held themselves to. We hold ourselves to certain rules, and I think that's a good thing.
Ally with people with
and I think that America should get some credit at the very, again, none of this to say that we haven't done bad, but there's this, I think, cynicism that you can fall into when you're doing nothing but focusing on like the specific bad circumstances that America has done without looking at, well, what could we have done bad? What is the good things that this country has done? How do countries operate when you're given the literal superpower status? We got the world by the balls. You know what we could do and that we're not doing?
I also want to throw in the fact
what could we do that we're not doing, actually?
Sorry, 1 second. Before you do that, I do.
That's a good question.
Hunter,
what Gibbs wants us to do?
Gibbs, everything that Gibbs stands for.
Hunter, make your point. I do want to let him do the afterwards.
I think that not being nuanced about this, like the way that Ollie is approaching this, where he's so overly critical, is really, like, honestly leads to harm being induced in America. Because if we make these blanket statements about America where we're essentially all bad, we don't allow that gradation. So then when things get worse, we can't call it as it is. Does that make sense? If we see everything as black and then things get a little bit grayer, then you can't say that that's good anymore. So it doesn't matter. And I think that that's my issue. When we're talking about the ways that we can make our country better, we have to acknowledge where we're good and where we're bad. And when we make these blanket statements, it doesn't allow us to.
Yeah, but that was Doobie's point in his opening, is that we claim to be this thing because we do all this cover up, and you like to see the silver linings through the clouds, which is nice. But then we don't ever actually get to the point where, like, Doobie's saying we shouldn't be doing these things, or we never get to the point where we actually aren't doing these things. And that's kind of like the issue, is like, and seeing the silver linings. Obviously, I'm an American, so I'm going to be critical of my country and how it acts towards the rest of the world, right? Like when Lactoid brings up Iraq, my comparison isn't going to be like Iraq, but I'm pretty sure the citizens like that got killed would not sit here and opt for like America being like the hero.
No, for sure. But we did look at Iraq and we went fuck, and we got the fuck out of there. And like we still have issues with the Middle East. I'm not just gonna say that it's all solved there. Yeah. But like largely speaking, America did go, I'm horrified by what's going on in the Middle East, and we pulled the fuck out.
After
hold on,
okay.
I know.
I do. I want to land.
Are you fucking for real? Do you think that what we're doing right now in the Middle East is as bad than what happened in 2004?
One second. Doobie, you wanted to say something before. I wanted to give you space.
Like this is what I'm talking about. Like nothing good can happen when we really try to focus on making things better in the Middle East.
Doobie,
hi. Yeah, I think it's a lot of cope. To be honest with you, so. We don't need to go to the 2000s, right? You can go to like the 90s, right? The sanctions that were placed on Iraq that I think at the time there was research that said it's led to the death of like 500,000 Iraqi children, right? This package of like sanctions that was imposed on Iraq. And when this was brought up to, was it Madeleine Albright? She said that it was worth it, right? This was for the exact term, but she said like, in other words, it was worth it, right? This is like it's worth the cost, right? 500,000 children, just for the children, by the way. I think the total death was like over 1 million people, right, who died as a result of these sanctions. And those sanctions lasted until 2003, right? So I don't know how we get off on saying, oh, we're so moral, or we're better than the other guys, when our policies have caused the deaths of millions of people across the world for decades now. I mean, we can look at China, we can look at Russia and things they've done within their own countries and how they've oppressed their own people. Yeah, you can look at North Korea and God knows how all the ways that they oppress their own people. But we've done this to people across the world, thousands of miles away, who are no threat to us, right? For fucking decades, to benefit ourselves financially primarily, right? In some other cases, we've strategically destabilized countries for other countries' best interests, right? Because we want to have Israel be a hegemon in the Middle East or power in the Middle East, so we can use them to influence the region, yada yada. Right? We do terrible things all over the fucking world to benefit ourselves primarily, right? Not to help the people, not to spread democracy, not to whatever the fuck, not because we give a fuck about rights. but because it's going to benefit us financially, not even us. I say us. I mean the wealthy, the government, these massive corporations that create military hardware and sell it. That's who benefits, right? It's not really benefiting us as in like the average American person. So I totally understand this feeling, right? The wanting to say that, oh, we're the shining city on the hill, right? As Ronald Reagan put it. I think I want to be that, but we're not, and we haven't been for a very long fucking time. I don't know if we've ever been. I don't think we've ever been that.
Sure,
Right?
sure, but
hold on. But I think saying, oh well, yeah, we've fucked up a few times, but the Saudi Arabia exists. So I mean, how many people Saudi Arabia killed in the last 100 years? Like, what about fucking North Korea, China, right? And I don't mean like their families or whatever.
Regimes have they toppled?
Yeah, exactly. Like how many nations has China destabilized and caused and sent into conflict or caused like massive refugee crises? That we've done that.
How many terrorist groups have we caused?
Millions and millions of lives
on our hands.
So we just need to be honest about right now on the global stage. America is not a force for good, and it has been for a very long fucking time.
I think what my specific issue is when me and Lactoid talk about these issues, and by the way, it's weird and refreshing to finally be on the same side. Like,
I don't think you actually are, but we'll find out.
Maybe. I'm sure we disagree on a million things. We know this, but I think that when we talk about these issues, we're like, yeah, that was fucked. That was fucked. But I don't hear you guys. It to me, it shows a certain amount of bias. Like, we ended the genocide of Albanians. Like, that's also something that I don't hear hyped up.
We're funding the genocide of Palestinians.
No, wait, hold on. I agree, but like, what the fuck?
Okay, so that cancels out. That cancels out.
I'm not saying it cancels out, but like, why don't you talk about both? Why don't we talk about both?
We can talk about both.
No, but you're not allowing me to, because I'm saying, hey, it's a nuanced perspective here. I'm trying to talk about both issues. I'm trying to talk about the good things that we did in the world too.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, we can only talk about that. And I'm saying, I don't think that worldview is helpful. I don't think that we can get anywhere as a country if the whole perspective is just we suck. That's
what the conversation is right now in this little prompt is, does America love torturing people, right? We're having a conversation of if America has a problem or has a fucking fascination with torturing people and then shutting up about it, sitting here and claiming that we don't do these things, sitting here and saying
who the fuck are you talking
constitutionally sound we
You're
are.
not talking to anyone. I agree that we torture people in Gitmo. I agree that we tortured people in Vietnam. I agree that we have had a horrific history of genocide and the detriment of people. I agree. Like,
that's what the conversation is. But what you're doing is, hey, I agree with all of these things, but also we're kind of the best at being, like that.
I'm just trying to have.
That's why we're having this back and forth. That's why
I'm trying to have a conversation about our foreign policy that's a little bit more nuanced. Okay, and I don't think it's helpful to only focus on the things that contribute to your perspective.
What country should we be more like?
One second, Canada
and Doobie.
So one second. So
you think America with 320 million people, with the power that we have, we can be like Canada?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's any necessity for us to go and destabilizing countries. Yeah,
be like China,
right?
Be insular. I'm not saying act like China. You said be like.
And causing fucking terrorist groups to rise up and like. But there's no reason for us to do this. Like, really, it doesn't benefit us at all.
Go ahead, Doobie.
We are comparing countries to countries at this point.
Just really quick.
You can't just like funnel out just the good of China. And say,
you don't need to.
Just be the good.
I'm not even saying just the good. Right, hold on, but just really quickly, because you Hunter, you mentioned the Albanian genocide, and interestingly, I don't know if that's officially been labeled a genocide. I don't know if that's been determined, but I see that you want to call it a genocide. So I'm actually really curious as to whether or not you think there's a genocide in Palestine.
Yeah, I think that most historians agree that it's a genocide.
Awesome, thank you.
No, sorry. Are you talking about are you talking about the Palestinian genocide or the other one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Palestinian. Yeah.
Oh, I was making sure. Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's interesting. So
I'm largely pro-Palestine. I think Hamas is fucked. I think it's a terrorist organization, but I also think that there's a genocide of Palestinian people. I think Hamas doesn't care about the Palestinians.
I was just confused when you said historians.
But I do. What do you mean?
Yeah. So
I was confused when you said historians.
Yeah.
Oh no. I think it's. I think
I don't. It doesn't. I have to do the whole thing. I just understand. I was
sure. Whatever. Yeah. I'll concede that. Yeah. I'm happy.
So I agree. I agree that it's good that we stop that. Right. I 100%. I think it's a good thing that the United States did. We do some good things sometimes, but that was like what, like I don't want to downplay how
20 years
terrible
ago?
this is. No, not even. I'm not talking about the time. I mean the amount of people killed. It was like what, like 10,000 civilians or something like this. It's like a terrible that all these people died for sure. Right? There was a fucking mass rape and systemic rape and destroying of like entire families and villages. Like it was fucking terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put that into context of 10,000 people dead, we stopped this, and then we look at Iraq, 500,000 children killed through sanctions that we imposed, and we got
hold on. You can't play that game.
It's not a game.
No.
This is not a game that I'm playing.
Come on.
No, but this is not. What I'm telling you is that these. Yes, we can say, oh, that's a good thing we did, but then the bad shit we did is so much worse.
Wait,
it's so much worse.
If you're putting these into perspective based off of the quantity of the amount, that's fair and that's fine. But I don't know why World War II is not immediately invoked that killed 20 million people that I would say, primarily stopped. We can,
it's a good thing that we got involved in World War II and stopped.
Okay, but that might. But if you're saying the genocide of the Albanians cancels out because of the current genocide of the Palestinians, then why doesn't the genocide of the Palestinians cancel out when we stop the genocide of the Jews? Like, I don't understand this perspective.
I don't think pre World War II, I don't think the United States was a global hegemon the way that it is today, or post World War II. Right? I think this was like a very different world post World War II. And since World War II,
Doobie, why does that matter?
Right.
Because post World War II, we have far more influence, far more military power, far more status on the world stage, far more. So, and what we've used it to do.
This is my criticism of you earlier when you said we should be more like Canada.
For the world.
Yeah, if we were like Canada and had no global influence, we would maybe operate under different rules.
Let's go to one of your Canadian brothers, right? Let's go to Corey and then let's go to Gibbs.
Just maybe a quick question. So Lactoid. Do you view the cuts to USAID as morally good or morally bad?
Morally good.
Okay. And Staxiums, are you on the same page? Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. No. Oh wait. Hold on. Obviously. Wait. Hold on. Me and Lactoid have disagreed on 1,000 things.
Yeah,
my wife actually worked for USAID, and like she got her entire company got completely stripped down because of Elon Musk. Like. And it was fucked. What she was doing there was ensuring that Latin American countries weren't exploiting their children for that we weren't buying produce as American from slave labor. Like that. That to me matters a lot. And
sounds like fraud.
Sure, that was a CIA cover program for whatever the fuck or something, right? That's what our conservative friends were saying the entire goddamn time.
No, of course. Like I'm horrified by the cuts in USAID. I think it.
I told you you're not on the same page.
Wait. But we can't talk about the cuts in USAID without talking about how fucking awesome it was that we had USAID, that we had an organization that was focused specifically on building up the third world countries, or sorry, the global South is the correct term. To build up the global South so that they can have a functioning democracy and a functioning economy. That to me matters. And the fact that we had that was something to celebrate, and the fact that it was cut is something to mourn.
I don't disagree with you. That's why I'm just trying to highlight you weren't on the same page.
But that can only come with the nuance with saying that we're doing good things right now.
Here's the problem, like Corey. Here's what you're missing. When Staxium said that he agrees with Lactoid, he's not saying that he agrees on everything.
No, right.
And I would say that even with USAID being funded, we are still better than other comparable powers. So it's not like, on the principle of, can we take a nuanced position of a country, look at the level of hegemony it has in the world, because that does have to be factored in. Doobie's already admitted that, right? A country that doesn't have the power to do anything good or bad. Well, yeah, they're not going to have a ton bad that you can really point to. Yeah, what the fuck has Fiji ever done that's bad? Yeah.
Wait,
Fiji couldn't invade Germany and stop the Holocaust.
Okay, yes, I concede everything you said. But what I'm trying to highlight is just given that recent event, it's like you both, unless I'm misunderstanding your answers, you literally both want to go in a morally different direction. As in Staxio.
Yeah.
So
no, I know.
I would not say that's the same page fundamentally.
Okay. Well,
let's go. We gotta let some other people.
No, that doesn't go towards the agreement that you can't just hyper fixate on America does bad thing ABC, and then therefore we are bad, as opposed to, well, America does good thing XYZ, bad thing ABC, and is in the position to do X,
other letters,
whatever.
Other letters.
All the fucking letters.
If this is your point that me and Lactoid disagree on virtually everything else, of course we do. I've made that. I made that explicit.
The vision that you have for a morally good America is fundamentally different than the vision of a morally good America of Lactoid.
Probably, yeah.
So
let's I wouldn't say starkly different, but yeah.
Let's go. Sorry. Let's go to Gibbs.
Gibbs. I was gonna say,
me and Gibbs are starkly different.
Yeah, I actually agree with most of Doobie's assessment on like what went down with Iraq. Right? Like, I think that the difference where Doobie and I disagree is what we should do with the force that we have. I think it matters that we're the global hegemon, right? And I think that when we sit here and talk about Iraq, right? Saddam was sitting here. He was the El Jefe of basically the Ba'ath Party, right? They were trying to bring this across multiple nations. They're, building up their power base, right? This is something that he wants to, get going. And, it was behooved us to send us all into disarray, right? And so we destroyed Iraq, then Syria fell, Libya got taken out. Like, I think we actually accomplished our goals. And then Iran got a big gain. And that seemed like it wasn't planned. But then we back to Israel. Now Iran's the weakest it's ever been, and Iraq's moving back towards us, politically, right? And so, I think in the long term, it worked exactly as planned. Now, I think we're doing different is I agree. I think neo-imperialism, or whatever we're calling this now with the American style, where we rule through puppets and, we rule through economic trade and sanctions. I think that's gone out the window. I think Russia and China have proved that's bullshit. I think we just need to go back to imperialism. We should have just never left Iraq. I think looking back, we should have never gave the countries back in the after World War II. And I think these people would have benefited from being Americans now, as opposed to whatever they got going
Republican.
On.
Yeah,
I think that's what we should have been.
You're a true Republican, Gibbs.
I want to. All right, so I want to get this in because we're coming up at the end of our regular time. We can keep talking afterwards if you'd like, but we're coming up on the end there. So I just want to get this one thing in. So I feel like both sides are trying to take up positions on both, take both sides of the argument when it's convenient for them. A consensus that I think we are arriving at is that there are no really good or bad countries, right? Like, we're talking about a scale of bad, right? I think everyone has landed on that. That the world is full of gray, right? And we are somewhere on that spectrum. And maybe not on the farthest end. That might be the case, right? But we're somewhere there. And so I would agree with that. But there is the big talking point that, well, the U.S. could be doing much worse. Well, of course. Well, first of all, any particular power could always be doing much worse. The Nazis could have been doing a better job of what they were up to, right? But they didn't, right? But whatever. I don't think that's necessary. It shows how amazing we are as a country, right? However, I think America is unique. I think it's unique in its position in history, being a hegemon that is theoretically, right, answerable to its people, right? We have a democracy, supposedly. We have a democracy, and whatever administration has power and doing whatever fuck shit it's up to, right? Theoretically has to answer to the people in a way that I'm not sure any other hegemon has before, right? The UK, the British Empire, is actually a weird middle ground in this, right? That might be the other exception in history of the British Empire, but I don't know enough about that to make much statements on it. So I'll leave that one aside. But other than that, right, it's just been motherfucking kings, right? Just doing their thing, right? Emperors doing their thing. But for the US, though, that doesn't mean that we aren't doing a lot of awful things. That a lot of that we literally just export to others. That's what the School of the Americas was, right? Rather than having American military operatives doing the torture themselves, right, to keep the world safe from communism, right, and by that they meant, right, specifically keeping America's sphere of influence in the West, right, within the Americas, solid, making sure Russia never got a foothold. so while we were spreading democracy all over the place, right? Yeah, we were literally dismantling individuals, right? There are reports of villages where they just raped their way through them, right? Like preteen girls being raped by U.S. backed operatives, right? And then after the raping, or maybe even before, they were stabbed, they were bayoneted. Like it was like awful things we did to these individuals. Those are backed by the America. When we went through our torture programs, right? We specifically, not even talking about CCOT, right? We in terms of the Bush administration, we exported that to nations around the world. Those were the black sites. Remember that, right? That's what we did. We did all the bad things, but we exported the violence. So I think the reason why America grabs onto this mythos, why it's important, is because it's necessary to placate the people. The people can't understand the level of violence that we commit in the world, right? Like the people just can't do that, because I think Americans by and large are like good and decent human beings, and since they again theoretically have a say in the government, and we have a media, right, especially a mass media in the modern age, right, that simply did not exist previously for previous empires, where we can beam images like what happened for Vietnam, right? That was a huge thing. We're watching the girl running out of the forest, literally on fire, right? Once we have those images, like that changes the game for how a government interacts with its people. And I think the American government is like navigating that in a way that no one else has before. But that doesn't mean it's good necessarily, right? And that it doesn't mean that like all the other things it does necessarily excuses that. I think
who are you talking to? Like no one's. I don't think anyone's excusing it. Excusing what occurred. Like that's that's what I feel like.
Cope. You guys are coping about what happened by saying
I'm not
like. Well, I mean, look, see, Lactoid just got annoyed. He's like, well, look, the issue is like one thing in the conversation is we're talking about torture. And everything that's been run from everyone is like, yeah, we did this, but also look at the other good shit we done. And then when any one of us has shown like, well, this good thing was either not really that good or it's masked by some bad, like worse thing that was happening, you got annoyed, right? That was like the issue.
Well, okay with it. My question is, how is Trump bad? If like, because I would say he's bad because he's tearing down a lot of our institutions and he's wronging a lot of rights that we did. He's tearing down functions like USAID. Like, doesn't that force us to say that we did maybe some good things 5 years ago or before Trump? And
things aren't constant. Wait a minute. America can be better than it was at other points in times and worse, right? Like
all I'm saying is, can't we acknowledge that we have done good things?
Yes.
Sorry. This is what annoys me, right? This is what annoys me is that like this like centrist bullshit liberal nonsense of like, well, good things have happened in the past, right? And why aren't we talking about the good things, guys? Right? Like, let's focus on the positive. No, we understand that. We get that, right? We're talking about the torture. That's what we're talking about. We understand that America isn't all one thing, right? Like, hold on, Ali, do you think America is all one thing? Do you think it's all torture all the time? Is that what you think, Ali?
No, but I don't hear you talking about the good things, so I don't know how helpful the conversation is.
I don't hear you celebrating.
I talk about you talk about a centrist policy. I talk about the shit that we're doing and the horrible, fucked up things that we're doing all the time.
Yes,
so I don't.
We all have praised America at some point in time.
I don't know if you guys have. I don't know if you guys have.
Okay, great. Hold on. If you thought here, right, that the people here never at any point in time praised America, that this might be the first time, I'm going to correct you. This isn't the very first
Doobie has a literal American
in our
flag
lives
as his background.
that we praised America for doing a thing, right? In fact, I was the one arguing with Lactoid, arguing with Scott when he was here, arguing with Gibbs, right, about USAID. I thought that was a good thing that we were doing in America, that America was doing. That was outputting, right? Whatever your wife was doing sounded pretty base.
No, but
that's a good thing. But
I feel like we only talk about it when it's
never
gone.
happened. I don't hear you talking about like that America has done a positive thing some more time. Like that's what you're holding this conversation for. It's bullshit.
I just don't feel like we're talking about it unless it's gone, and that to me feels like a non-starter.
What the fuck? What the fuck? What are you talking about?
Can I have a second just to like explain? So in the prompt that you gave us, I'm going to read here directly what me and Staxium's been talking about the whole time that we feel like you guys are just like not acknowledging. Yes, I agree. Below us, there's a title here that says, "Does America love torturing people?" And we have spent plenty of time talking about specifically, yes, it does. Here are the specific circumstances, and here's why it's bad. But that wasn't it to the prompt. Quote, so much of America's self-perception rests on having some sort of moral high ground in comparison to other major powers. In your opinion, has this ever been true? Is the U.S. at all better than its rivals? That was a question that we are talking about now. Has the U.S. ever been better than its rivals? Do we have any kind of moral high ground? And our answer is that for these questions, yes. Compared to our rivals, is Fiji a rival? No.
In regards to torture?
Compared to our rivals.
Wait.
Yes. Hold on. Stop.
In regards to torture, not in terms of treatment of citizens.
Whenever there's been a rival.
According to the fucking Russia? According to Russia?
Yeah. Whenever there's been a rival, we have been better than them. The Soviet Union did it worse than we did. China does it worse than we did. What rival? What American rival?
China tortured its own people. Russia tortured its own people. Now go external.
And it tortures other people.
That's Ukrainians right now. What the fuck?
Destabilized and gone to war with.
Go ahead, Judy. Go ahead.
Yeah, just explain. So explain how we're better than China, right? Because my understanding is that China has not been involved in destabilizing God knows how many countries over the last 20, 30 years, killing God knows how many people, creating terrorist organizations, funding them, and then arming them, and then using them as an excuse to go to war like a couple of decades later. Like China doesn't do that I'm aware of.
I think China's I think China's only really held some kind of hegemony and really only been a rival really since, maybe in the past 15 years. I mean, their growth has been meteoric, but before then, the comparison wouldn't have been China. The comparison would be the Soviet Union. And if we want to talk about countries that our rival in that time did destabilize, or different countries that they meddled in and destabilized, we can go down the list. We just talked about one of them, El Salvador. There was a reason why that war ended immediately upon the Soviet Union's collapse.
But also 20, 30 years is a very convenient timeline to cut off, considering the Cold War ends there, and that's the end of Chinese and USSR intervention in these other
we could talk about fucking Mao. Are you for real? Like you're like, oh well, let's only look at the last 20 years of China. Mao Zedong was before that. Like we're comparing. Like
also good point.
Fucking FDR,
right?
And they invaded
Teddy
Korea,
Roosevelt,
and they invaded Vietnam as well.
To Mao. I like.
Wait. China currently is genociding the Uyghurs as we speak. Yes. They are currently doing this, and you're
occupying Tibet.
And they're currently they're occupying Tibet. Thank you. They're currently occupying Tibet. They're currently genociding the Uyghurs. They've got camps there that they won't let the UN go into. They literally are using slave labor to grow cotton that we've had
still allied with North Korea. Like
it's still allied with North Korea. And so if you want to go down the list of what our rivals are, what moral superiority, if we want to go down the list of the moral superiority that we have over our rivals, there's plenty that we can talk about with China. There's plenty that we can talk about with the Soviet Union. We want to go back to World War II. Our rivals there, Japan. Are you kidding me? Nazi Germany. Right. At what point have we not been morally superior than our rivals? In what point in American history?
Right now.
Quickly, Tesla
right now.
50% of federal spending. That's what was saved for hundreds of thousands dead. Morally good, Lactoid. Talking about USAID, I believe. Thank you, Testicle Johnson, for that. And that's a shot at Lactoid.
Base Testicle Johnson. Hell yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And yeah, absolutely. We should have actually could do with USAID. 100%. Maybe reformed it, I think. That might be something we should have done. But we should actually continue with that. Just a little bit of money. Sorry, he says 0.15%. I said 15%. I was wrong. 0.15% of the federal spending.
15% of federal spending was USAID.
No, yeah, I said it wrong. I said it wrong. That was my
no worries.
fault.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
0.1, yeah. Sorry. But thank you, Tesla Johnson. Yeah.
Would you guys not support it if it was 15%? Why not?
No, I said that's my fucking liberal dream. It's like, holy shit,
sure.
Yeah.
We live in the Nordic state now. This
Why
is
not
awesome.
50%? We can just save everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's basically what we're doing on Social Security and Medicare anyway right now. So,
but that's what the point.
You want to talk about other things I want to cut?
You were talking. Look, the point is that
dude, this relationship is tenuous, dude. Don't
break
it.
That I was making.
I told you.
I can feel it like the bubble collapsing.
The point that I was making is that yes, our self-perception of being that shining city of the hill, or whatever fucking metaphor you want to use, right? Like jerking off metaphor that we want to use. Like that is necessary to keep the consent of the people. We have to keep that idea up, right? Bush, like we learned from Vietnam, right? And that's why Bush Jr. wanted to hide the coffins coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, right? Because those images were powerful during the Vietnam War, seeing all our dead kids coming back, right? And so they had to hide those things because again, we had to have the consent. And there's a reason.
How the fuck do you know about that, Prime? Because of our fucking freedom of speech and our self-criticism. That China doesn't have, that Russia doesn't fucking have. Their leaders just fucking do it, and then no one hears about it.
An answer to a different question.
I literally said,
no, it's not, because we're talking about our rivals. We're talking about the comparison of our rivals.
We are unique. Hold on, I said that at the start, but you lost it, right? Because you were so focused on like, hey, why isn't he like cheerleading America here, right? I said at the start,
we gotta get a little bit of that from you, Prime. Come on,
unique among the hegemons, right? Yes. That we are doing what we are doing is different from all the others, but I think it's also because we're situated differently in history. Not that we are uniquely moral, right? But the individuals in charge, right? Our administrations are uniquely vulnerable to the people in a way that other hegemons, right? Other past major powers haven't been.
But that was obviously,
so I can acknowledge that.
But that was built by the, like, weirdly enough, that was built by the leaders of the country. That was built by the founding fathers. It was built by the administration to be self-critical. Like, there's a weird sort of self-reflection that America almost uniquely has as a major power, and that to me is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
that's what I said.
What makes us
critical right now.
Yes. Like, weirdly enough, the fact that we can talk about our